All right, greetings and salutations, everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff, and welcome to our Sunday morning live stream for Week 7 of the 2022 fantasy football season. Over the course of the next 2+ hours, I'll be answering your guys' questions and, of course, directing you to potentially starting the best possible lineup that you can going into Week 7 with all the information that is, of course, coming out as of this morning. The thumbnail change went from Travis Kelce to Isaiah Pacheco for a reason. There's a lot of information that we have to go over. Again, first and foremost, do not forget, I appreciate you guys being here. You guys are obviously what makes us continue on a daily basis. So thank you very much for joining us this morning. Of course, be sure to click the like button to continue to show support for the channel. Besides that, of course, to the right of me, like I always have on Sunday morning, and I will always have, are up-to-date rankings for my top 36 running backs, top 36 wide receivers, along with top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends. The rankings to the right of me are for half PPR scoring format, and were just updated probably 10 minutes ago prior to me going live. Now, there is another chance that this gets updated once again once we get a little bit more information regarding some of the other receiving prospects that may be questionable, perhaps like a Keenan Allen or a Rashad Bateman. But at this current moment, considering Keenan Allen plays in the afternoon slate of games, 1 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we probably won't be given that information. So I will coattail any time of suggesting Keenan Allen with the idea of picking up DeAndre Carter if he is not active and having him ready to go just in case for that swap. Either way, let's get into it, shall we? In terms of answering questions, giving you guys a little bit of insight as to where I'm thinking of going. First and foremost, I'm sure we all want to hear, where does Andrew have Isaiah Pacheco ranked? As of this morning, I have Isaiah Pacheco as my number 25 overall running back. I followed that up with putting Clyde Edwards all the way down to number 30. I still think there's going to be a rotation out of this backfield, but if Isaiah Pacheco is going to get the first crack at attempts and especially have potential goal line work in the mix, potentially even get himself a couple receptions, that certainly lifts his overall upside in the given week. Now, another question you may have been wondering is, Andrew, where do you have Christian McCaffrey ranked? We talked about him since Thursday, and where do you feel comfortable with him? At this current moment in time, like I told you guys, if I have Christian McCaffrey, in many circumstances, I'm starting him, mainly because there is a chance that Christian McCaffrey and the talent that he has only needs a couple of touches and he can get himself a serviceable amount of fantasy points in. Another reason why I don't want to bench him is because I'm scared. Right? If in fact he goes for a pretty big play here and there and he's sitting on my bench and I could end up, putting in Christian McCaffrey and getting a sizable workload out of a running back when I'm certainly in need of a running back due to the bye weeks that are currently happening, it's a tough situation. Therefore, I have it ranked as such. I still have Jeff Wilson ahead of him. Just because Christian McCaffrey is playing does not mean that Jeff Wilson is all of a sudden not playing in this lineup. We've only heard that Christian McCaffrey has a singular package that he's going to be utilized in, and it doesn't mean that even if it's the red zone package, that Jeff Wilson Jr. isn't going to have the ability of breaking off a 40-yard run for a touchdown like we have seen. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Once I, get a question regarding Jeff Wilson, I'll give you guys my, the information that I collected in regards to Jeff Wilson as to how I came to my current ranking of him as we progress. Either way, let's get into this. Before I answer a couple questions, I did want to also mention that as of about 8 minutes ago, Ian Rappaport of the NFL Network tweeted out saying big name wide receivers that are generating trade interest as of right now via NFL rosters. The Texans have received multiple calls regarding Brandon Cooks. That could be great depending on where he lands. The Steelers have obviously received many calls regarding Chase Claypool. That obviously helps the value of Chase Claypool himself, and of course George Pickens in the future. And then the final name, which was quite surprising, is the fact that teams have called about Jerry Jeudy considering the current struggles of the Denver Broncos. Okay, either way, let's get into this, shall we, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, I will be answering defense, kicker related questions. If you have a question, please make sure you add your scoring format next to it or within the question somewhere, just so I can kind of settle it all in and we're good to go. But yes, I will be mentioning top 12 defenses and kickers later on in today's episode. Someone's going to ask about it, and once he does, I'll go ahead and rattle it off. I'll probably mention that like 5 or 6 times today. Okay. Ozzy Reyna starts us off again for the second consecutive day with a question. Ozzy, hope you're doing well. Thank you. He says, Pacheco or Godwin in a standard scoring league? At this moment, I'd rather just play Godwin. I think there's a lot of upside within that matchup. Yes, Pacheco is going to be the starter for his team, but at this current moment, I'd like to wait and see what we're going to get out of that kind of rotation before I'm playing him ahead of players like Chris Godwin specifically. So yes, Godwin's the play there in my opinion. Stallions Production says, Zeke or Jamal Williams. As of right now, yes, I have Zeke ahead of Jamal Williams. That's right. I forgot to also mention in the beginning of our episode, or live stream here, that DeAndre Swift is potentially going to miss. My assumption is that because there's even some sort of kind of hesitation from the team itself to potentially not start him, then that's kind of leading me down the path of not even worrying about it. I'm assuming that Jamal Williams is going to get the start. If anything, arises in the next hour plus, then of course we're going to adjust rankings. But for right now, yes, I prefer Zeke over Jamal Williams. And even if Swift was going to play, because he is limited to an extent, he will probably be behind Zeke as well, even if you have him. Stallions, thank you. Your follow-up question was Dolphins defense or Ravens defense today. Just to go ahead and check. As of right now, I have the Miami Dolphins defense as my number 7 and the Baltimore Ravens as my number 8. So I would play Miami against Kenny Pickett today. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. Foxborough News says, Gesicki or Otton for my for the tight end this week. Okay, so as of right now, again, Cade Otton is going to be filling in for Cameron Brate with that current situation with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and of course, how much Tom Brady likes to use his tight ends. I currently have Cade Otton as my number 13 tight end. I think I have Mike Gesicki as my number 20. Again, Mike Gesicki doesn't get much utilization when Tua is the quarterback. Very rarely will we ever see him get a touchdown, and quite frankly, the touchdown that he scored with Tua against the Ravens, the fact that they scored 40 plus points and he only had himself 1 touchdown in the game is surprising. Yes, Teddy Bridgewater's 2 touchdowns in his direction is fantastic, but we're going to get a little bit of a switch in terms of the offensive approach considering the quarterback change here. So yes, I would play Cade Otton this week. Thank you. E-Rock sends in a question, says Keenan Allen, game time decision, or Alec Pierce. Okay, first and foremost, if I'm picking between the two, let me actually confirm something here. I'm curious when the Colts play in comparison so we can kind of adjust and send you in the right direction. Okay, considering the Colts play 2 hours from now and the Chargers play 5 hours from now, you don't really have much of a pivot unless DeAndre Carter is available in your league. So my only hope would be that if in fact you have an empty roster spot and you're willing to go ahead and push it and see if Keenan Allen is ready to go, considering what I've read from Schefter and Rappaport in regards to him is that he's trending in a positive direction to play today. But let's say, for example, you pass up on Alec Pierce and you try to play Keenan Allen. If in fact Keenan Allen does not play at the 1:25 p.m. PST time slot, you would pick up DeAndre Carter and play him because there is no Joshua Palmer and there is no Donald Parham. So with no Keenan Allen as well, that would basically mean Eckler, Everett, Mike Williams, DeAndre Carter. Those are the 4 primaries, and quite frankly, all of them could very easily see 8+ targets today and be valuable prospects. So as of right now, I'm looking to try to push to see if I can play Keenan Allen in that regard. But for now, again, it's how risk averse you are in that regard and whether or not DeAndre Carter is available and whether you have the roster spot to kind of make that swap in kind of preparation for it. Your follow-up question was Lawrence or Ryan today. I do prefer Matt Ryan. The crazy thing is that Trevor Lawrence last week only had 2 passing incompletions, yet he was still on the losing side of that game. Either way, I think that the way that the Colts are trending in the fact that they're throwing the ball as much as they are, it leads me in the direction of going with Matt Ryan. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence benefited from the fact that he had 2 rushing touchdowns. Very uncommon that he's going to have that going into this week. All right. EC Livin says, stash Kieran Williams or Isaiah Pacheco? I'd rather stash Isaiah Pacheco going forward in a 12-team full PPR. Thank you very much, EC Livin. Thank you. Stephen Drake sends in a question, says, good morning. Drop bus for Isaiah Pacheco. Look, here's the thing. A couple people, I saw it in the chat already, were asking about a couple players. First and foremost, people were asking about, hey, Andrew, Kenyon Drake, why is he not in the top 36 right now? Kenyon Drake is going to be in a running back by committee situation, so he's completely not a startable option within my top 36 because it's Drake, Justice Hill, and Gus Edwards in a rotation. And if we're going to assume to see Gus Edwards probably in the next couple weeks be, on a little bit of a snap count or a, pitch count in that regard, we'll probably see Justice Hill and Kenyon Drake get as many snaps, as many touches as one another. And then we're going to be in a situation where, unfortunately, they're not going to have much value. Now, to answer your question, Stephen Drakes, in my opinion, considering I do see, eventually my hope would be that Gus Edwards can come back and look great. But considering I don't have 100% confirmation that he's going to look great coming off of his injury, I lean in the direction of Isaiah Pacheco rest of the season for right now. This being said, I think that the way that we're approaching, just so everyone's listening, again, there's 1,000 of you in here, listen closely. The reason why I believe that Isaiah Pacheco is getting the start as of today is because the Chiefs are trying to figure out within the next 7 days as to whether or not they should trade for a running back. I have heard many rumors over the course of all season long that the Chiefs are looking back into Kareem Hunt. There is a very good chance that they can bring him back in. Now, if Isaiah Pacheco can show up and show out, they don't need to make that move. But again, it's in mix, it's in flux. Of course, we have, Kareem Hunt there not getting the contract extension he wanted in the offseason, and of course, not as much stability. And he's quite honestly, a relatively affordable running back to make a trade with. There's a reason why they adjusted Travis Kelce's contract. Obviously, a lot of people were looking at Odell Beckham Jr., but maybe it's for a running back that they want to go ahead and trade for. That all being said, as of right now, as for the two, Steven, I would lean in the direction of Pacheco for now. Also, I saw another question from you guys in the chat in regards to Courtland Sutton. I have no interest in playing Courtland Sutton today. You can do what you want to do, but for me, the fact that he's going up against Sauce Gardner, and in man coverage, Sauce Gardner this season in 6 games has only given up 5 yards in man coverage, that is unbelievable. The young man has been targeted over 30 times, has only allowed, 14 receptions in zone coverage for like a mere 94 yards. Really, it is going to be tough, especially with the quarterback switch with the Denver Broncos. In my opinion, I just don't want anything to do with Courtland Sutton today. We can talk about him in future weeks, but for right now, I think it's far more risk than reward. Now, if he goes ahead and he schools the young man, the rookie, then by all means, good on him, but he won't be doing that in my starting lineup, unfortunately, today. All right, moving on. Diego says, should I be worried about Keenan Allen being on a snap count? Again, here's the thing. If Keenan Allen was going to be held out, he would be this week, under the assumption that he has a bye week next week. And why would you play him this week if you knew you can get him healthy next week and in week 9? Because again, they have a week 8 bye. So the only reason I would ever assume that they're going to start him is because they know that he's going to be at a far greater capacity, considering they do not have Josh Palmer active today. So I wouldn't be worried about it, but again, we don't have the full information as to whether or not he's going to be limited to any sort of capacity as of today. Let's see here. CB says, is Dobbins droppable? I mean, at this point, he very easily could be, unless you have an IR spot ready to go. But even when he comes back, he's most likely going to be a part of the running back rotation in a committee situation. Your follow-up question, CB, was, I have a lot of running back depth at the current moment in time. I have a wide receiver flyer in Garrett Wilson or Jameson Williams available on the wire. If I was to potentially go after one of the two, there are also rumors in regards to trades of Denzel Mims getting moved away from the Jets along with Elijah Moore. So those two end up leaving. Does open up a little bit more slot receiving potential for Garrett Wilson. That all being said, I don't trust Zach Wilson at all in any sort of capacity. So I would rather just pick up Jameson Williams and see where that kind of pans out, because we know that, Zach Wilson not really going to be throwing the ball down the field quite often enough to get those valuable wide receivers, some fantasy kind of influx. Appreciate it, CB. ENG the Gamer says, full PPR. I have Kareem Hunt and I have Drake London in the flex, for the flex, and I have Everett and Dalton Schultz for my tight end. As of right now, I do prefer Gerald Everett, considering the fact that we do not have Donald Parham or Josh Palmer active today in the contest against the Seattle Seahawks. Quite frankly, one of the easiest matchups at the tight end position. So Gerald Everett is a guy that I want to start today. Give Schultz another week to see whether whether or not that knee is going to hold up for him. As for your your prior question, my apologies. You have Kareem Hunt and or Drake London in a full PPR scoring format. Let me go ahead and check my full PPR rankings right now. One moment. Where do I have them on Patreon? Let's go ahead, Control F, London. All right, so if I have Drake London, I don't even joke when I say these things, guys. I have Drake London at 69 and I have Kareem Hunt at 70. Like, they're literally back to back. I almost feel like you asked me that question because you knew that they were back to back in my rankings. Like, how is that even, I don't even know. But either way, based on that, my suggestion would be to play Drake London today, because he is one slot ahead of him, number 69 and 70. Crazy how that, my goodness, that's crazy. Mark sends in a question. Pick 3, PPR. We have Lockett, we have Brandon Cooks, we have David Montgomery, we have Drake, we have Dobbs, we have McLaurin. Okay, of the available options that you did mention, I would play Brandon Cooks, Lockett if he's going to be active this afternoon, and most likely McLaurin. I mean, that's probably it. Let me confirm this real quick in comparison to some of the other running back options. Yeah, that's probably where I'm going today. So Lockett, Cooks, McLaurin. If Lockett is not available, again, let me check. I know he does play in the afternoon slot. Okay, so if in fact Lockett is not available for you to play, at that point, okay, so this is what I'm going to suggest. Typically, I would tell you to pick your best 3 players, but considering they play in the afternoon slate of games, 1 p.m. PST and on, here's my initial suggestion. It would be to probably play Dobbs and McLaurin in the morning slate of games in about 2 hours from now. And then if in fact Lockett plays, you play him over Cooks. If he doesn't, then you have Cooks available. Because otherwise, when you get to the afternoon slate and Lockett is not available, quite frankly, there aren't really many available like wide receiver waiver wire options. I mean, unless like Hunter Renfrow is available in your league for the afternoon slate, or maybe you want to pick up, Tyquan Thornton that might be available. Those would be guys that in the later half of the week could be available to switch in for Lockett. But if you're not able to do that, then you have to go ahead and kind of protect yourself by starting Dobbs early on. All right, Ryan Dominguez sends in a question. Full PPR, ETN or Christian McCaffrey? I do prefer ETN. Again, I expect him to play the full game. So as of right now, we're in the position that we're going to prefer and pivot in the direction of ETN. We'll see what Christian McCaffrey looks like. Obviously, we're going to play him as a starting running back within a probably top 12 capacity next week once he has a full kind of integration within this offense. But for right now, we are going to play ETN. Chris Vasquez says a question. Hayden Hurst or Dalton Schultz today in a half PPR? I do prefer Schultz. You said, I see Schultz skyrocketed up in your rankings. Please elaborate. Yeah, as of right now, based on the matchup against the Detroit Lions and the fact that we have Dak Prescott back, it's pretty much a foregone conclusion that he's going to get some sort of implementation. He had a full session of practice throughout the entirety of the week, and with that gives me enough confidence to roll him out there. Last week, obviously, was limited in many capacities, then was not active in the game. So if we're going to be, just straight up, it's just a matter of where his knee is at. And considering we've seen full capacity at practice and giving him that kind of, confident boost to have him practice all week long and not have to, hold him back in any sort of way, I think he's back and ready to go. Let's see here. What I needed to actually do before, because I absolutely forgot. I remember many of you guys had told me a couple weeks back that you guys couldn't see the rankings. So what I'm going to do really quickly is, especially for those of you who are on mobile, perhaps, I'm going to go ahead and put my rankings in the description as of right now, because I know it may be difficult to read if you're on mobile and you're not at home or something like that. So let me go ahead and let me set that up, and I'll go ahead and post that in the chat, or post that in the description of the video. One moment, let me go ahead and organize this so I can send that, and we're all good to go. Okay. It's going to be a pretty long list, but hey, I do it for you guys. And there you go. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy all these ranks for today. Boom. And then we can drop that down there into the description. That's a long list. Okay, I'm safe. All right, so I updated that in the description of the video for those of you looking for that. All right, so anyway, Vasquez, that's where I'm leaning in the direction of. The relationship between Dak and Schultz, just far too good for me to give up on as of right now. The only reason, of course, that I have seen Hayden Hurst take a little bit of an influx in terms of targets and utilization was mainly because of T. Higgins and being injured in the last couple weeks. Now he's fully healthy. We're good to go. All right, Jeffrey sends in a question. Says, rest of season outlook. I need one to drop for a defense. Gallup, Reynolds, Curtis Samuel, Alec Pierce, A.J. Dillon, Isaiah Pacheco. If I am dropping one for rest of season purposes, I'm dropping Josh Reynolds, mainly because there is going to be a return eventually from Jameson Williams. So that would probably be the prime factor as to why I would drop him. Outside of that, it'd probably be the next drop, which is most likely going to kind of push in the direction of Curtis Samuel, under the assumption that you didn't need to play Reynolds today. Thank you. Okay, somebody else in the chat was asking, why is Sutton not playing today or why is he not in your rankings? Again, he plays against Sauce Gardner. The guy's given up 5 yards in man coverage this year. And their quarterback, Brett Rippon, has literally only started 1 game in his career. And in that game, he had 4 turnovers. So I'm not really too sure about that. That's why I have the Jets as my number 2 defense of the week. Speaking of defenses, while I have you guys here, of course, be sure to click the like button down below. Certainly does help out this channel a lot. Again, I continue to give you guys these rankings on screen for reasons because you guys continue to support. So I'll be going ahead and going over my kicker and defensive rankings as of right now, top 12 of both positions. I will once again re-mention these going forward, but we're going to go ahead and do that currently right now. So here we go. Top 12 defenses. Okay, I'm going to go slowly so that we're all on the same page. Here we go. Number 1, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers today, followed by the number 2 New York Jets, number 3 New England Patriots, number 4 Dallas Cowboys, number 5 Green Bay Packers, number 6 Cincinnati Bengals, number 7 Miami Dolphins, number 8 Baltimore Ravens, number 9 I have the Tennessee Titans, number 10 New York Giants, number 11 Jacksonville Jaguars, number 12 Denver Broncos. Those will be my top 12 defenses for the week. If you need to hear them again, rewind. We'll be good to go. All right. As for the top 12 kickers for this week, number 1, we have the stud Daniel Carlson of the Las Vegas Raiders. Number 2, Justin Tucker, the Hall of Famer or future Hall of Famer. Number 3, Evan McPherson. Number 4, Harrison Butker. Number 5, Graham Gano. Number 6, Brett Maher. Number 7, Jason Myers. Number 8, Nick Folk. Number 9, Ryan Suckup. Number 10, Brandon McManus. Number 11, Young Wei Koo. And number 12, Greg Zuerlein. All right. That'll cover it. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys' support. And for those of you who have clicked the like button, there's a lot of you in here. If y'all could hit that button, it literally takes 2 seconds out of your day. And it does nothing to hurt you. It only helps me. And if you're like, you know what, Andrew, we don't want to help you. Well, then you can jog on and get out of here. All right, moving on. Where was the follow-up question to the last one? All right, so we had Jeffrey. Okay, so we had Jeffrey. We answered that one. We're good to go. Simply Rages says, DJ Moore or Cortland Sutton today in a standard PPR? Quite frankly, that is a tough one, but I will tell you right now if I have Cortland Sutton ahead of him. Let me see. Where do I have Cortland Sutton in comparison to him? So I have Cortland Sutton right now. I have Cortland Sutton behind DJ Moore, straight up. I have them 2 ranks behind DJ Moore. So that's probably where I go today. Let's play DJ Moore. Cyanide sends in a question, says rest of season, Wan'Dale Robinson or Curtis Samuel? Most likely Curtis Samuel will be more valuable, but as of right now, I would want to hold Wan'Dale Robinson under the potential for a breakout kind of rest of season upside. So for right now, if I'm holding one, it's probably Wan'Dale Robinson, just in the hope that we can see some breakout performances here in the coming weeks. Mean DeBush says Pacheco or Dobbs in a PPR. Okay, so as of right now, I would probably lean in the direction of just playing Dobbs. I know Sammy Watkins is playing, but I think I'm in a position to trust the rookie wide receiver, especially because of the full PPR scoring format. And I know that the Kansas City backfield is still going to be a rotation of sorts. Vlad Sanchez says, Stevenson, Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, full PPR, 1 running back and 1 flex. If I need 1 running back and 1 flex, I'm playing Stevenson and Aaron Jones there. Thank you. Chris Curry says half PPR. I have Herbert and plus Williams. Do I play Njoku or Everett? Yeah, I think we talked about this yesterday. Maybe you asked the question or maybe somebody else was asking it. But as of right now, yes, I do have David Njoku ahead of Gerald Everett. I think they're both great options, but for right now, I'm leaning in the direction of the consistency that we've seen from Njoku and kind of riding that out this week. Chris Curry, thank you. Chris Moraga says, in a half PPR scoring format, do I flex Montgomery or Myers? As of right now, I am playing Jacoby Myers this weekend. Thank you. Or on Monday. Friendly sent in a question or donation, but there wasn't a message attached to it. Friendly says, okay, I found one. A half PPR, T. Higgins or Michael Pittman Jr. Dallas defense or Patriots defense. Again, guys, immediately to the right of me on screen are updated rankings as of 7:50 this morning. PT, Pacific Standard Time, AM. So if in fact you are in need of half PPR rankings, there to the right of me, Friendly, I greatly do appreciate you sending those in. As to answering your question, of course, it would be Patriots defense over Dallas today, and would be specifically Michael Pittman Jr. 1 slot ahead of T. Higgins. Both of them are great options, but of course, if you're not able to start them both, Michael Pittman Jr. would be the guy that I'd lean in the direction of. So again, guys, Rankings are on the screen to the right of me. Half PPR, top 36 running backs, wide receivers, tight ends, and top 16 quarterbacks for a 4-point per passing touchdown league. Again, if you can't see it because you're on mobile, there are rankings in the description of the video. Just go ahead and scroll down there and you'll kind of see it in order within position like it is presented on screen. All right, thank you. Sinclair Kimball says, I have Pittman and I have Sutton and Pierce. I noticed you don't have Sutton up there. Do I play both Colts wide receivers? Yes, I would play both Colts wide receivers. Anthony Ramos says, start 2 full PPR, Hines, Sutton, Pacheco, and Josh Reynolds. If Josh Reynolds is active today, which I'm assuming he's going to be, I would play him with Pacheco. If Josh Reynolds is inactive, then you play both the running backs, Hines and Pacheco. Thank you, Anthony. I appreciate it. Chris sends in a question, says, good morning, Andrew. Good morning to all of you. Thank you. If Keenan Allen needs to play today, if Keenan Allen plays, are we starting Pacheco, Sutton, or Bateman? I don't understand why that has to do anything with one another. If Keenan Allen plays today, he plays. Great, that's fantastic. But if you need a secondary option, for example, now I understand what you're saying. If Keenan Allen plays today, your secondary option out of the group would be to play Bateman most likely. If, in fact, we do not see Keenan Allen active, you are going to then play at that point Pacheco because Pacheco plays in the afternoon slate of games. Yes, so that's how you do. Bateman is an automatic, and Keenan Allen Pacheco is your flexible play. So if one of them is, if Keenan Allen is active, you play him. If he's not, you have the pivot to Pacheco. Thank you. All right, moving on. Paul sends in a question, says, drop Alec Pierce to pick up Pacheco in a PPR. Again, it depends on what you need. If you need running back depth and you want to see if you can kind of take a stash play here, maybe he becomes something within this backfield and is able to take the opportunity and run away with it, then by all means, yes, let's pivot in that direction. But I don't know what the rest of your team looks like. Alec Pierce certainly, again, is kind of trending in the direction of potentially being in that wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 conversation going forward within their offense. So for right now, I'm in a position where only if you need running back depth am I making that swap. DIYWD says, full PPR, I have, pick 2 running backs and 3 wide receivers for me this week. All right, sounds good. Let's do this. So we have McCaffrey, Wilson, Harris, Keenan Allen, Higgins, Deontay, London, Myers, Reynolds. Okay, so of the available options that you have, again, like I have on screen, it's a little bit different because we're talking half PPR compared to full PPR. But if I'm just playing it square, right, and it's my team, I'm most likely in a position where in a full PPR scoring format, I'm still playing Jeff Wilson and Damian Harris. I'm following that up with playing Higgins and Keenan Allen as the primary 2. If, in fact, Keenan Allen doesn't play, you play Myers as the pivot, and Deontay would be the 3rd wide receiver. So, again, that would be Damian and Jeff Wilson. And then again, you play Higgins and Deontay as automatics. Keenan Allen versus Myers is the pivot. Thank you. Adam Thompson says, I'm 6-0. I need a flex for this week. Judy, Wan'Dale Robinson, or Rachaad White. Rachaad White's not playable, in my opinion, mainly because, again, he needs there to be a complete blowout for this to be, a game where he can get himself enough utilization. As for Judy and Wan'Dale Robinson, the reason why I am assuming that Judy will have some semblance of value is because I know that Brett Rypien has a relationship with him already. They have played together back in 2020 when Rypien was given that starting spot. Judy actually had a pretty good game in that game. So I think there may be a little bit of at least some sort of rapport that has been built from the past, and they can continue to just build upon that. So for right now, I'm leaning in that direction with Judy tonight. All right, Morph sends in a question, says, I started Pacheco. Do I start Pacheco over Woods or Gallup? No, I would not play him over Gallup. I'd rather play Gallup today. Thank you. But over Woods, yes. K Gonzaga 2014 says, start 2 in a PPR scoring format. We have McCaffrey, we have Zeke, and we have Godwin. If it's my team, if it's my team, I'm playing Zeke and I'm playing Godwin. Thank you. Colin Smith says, full PPR, full 14-team league. We have Pat Freiermuth or Nico Collins. If I'm picking between the 2, I prefer Pat Freiermuth today. John Mowat says, pick 2 running backs and 1 wide receiver. Jonathan Taylor, Ramondre Stevenson, Kenyon Drake, and Brandon Cooks or Christian Kirk. Okay, so if I'm picking 2 running backs, it's automatically Jonathan Taylor and Ramondre Stevenson, no doubt about it. Kenyon Drake's not even in my top 36 on screen. So then I would just pivot to the idea of, okay, are we playing Brandon Cooks or are we playing Christian Kirk? Unfortunately, the reason why the Jacksonville Jaguars really have struggled in the last couple of weeks in order to kind of get the job done and win some games, mainly has to do with the fact that, unfortunately, they are not dominating the middle of the field. They are not running Christian Kirk across the middle of the field as much as they were early on, and that is kind of concerning to an extent. So I'm of the opinion that, yes, hopefully they're going to get back to it, but in a full PPR, it may. I think Christian Kirk is just a little bit more valuable in a half PPR because he has more touchdown upside. In a full PPR, Brandon Cooks might be the play, and I think that's kind of the direction I'm leaning into. Dom sends in a question, says, "Morning, Andrew. I was offered New England defense for Adam Thielen. New England has outscored Thielen 81-71 in a full PPR scoring format. I have wide receiver depth. Should I ask for more, or is this enough? I currently am streaming Tennessee defense. Thank you." At this point, if you really do not need Adam Thielen, which I think Adam Thielen has a lot of value going forward, mainly because he does have touchdown upside in a lot of capacities. If you really do have like 4 or 5 other really solid wide receiver options, then at that point, we just pivot and yeah, I don't mind the trade. I think if New England, especially with their upcoming schedule, just to kind of remind you guys as to what they're going to be facing or upcoming here. I was talking about this with someone the other day in regards to kind of giving them a little bit of advice as to defenses to pick up. So their upcoming schedule consists of playing against the Bears this week, then the Jets. Of course, whenever they play against the Jets, it's pretty easy to stop that young quarterback play. Then they play against the Colts. That's a decent matchup. Then they play against the Jets once again. If you get the Jets in 2 out of the next 4 weeks, I think Zach Wilson may be in a little bit of trouble there. Now, of course, they're going to be able to run the ball, but in terms of being able to force turnovers, make plays there, I think there's a lot of upside there for the Patriots. All right, moving on. Eddie James says, Mike Evans or Sun God as my wide receiver too. I would play Amon-Ra St. Brown there. Thank you very much, Eddie. Dorsey 5001 says Christian McCaffrey or Travis Etienne. I prefer Travis Etienne today. Thank you. Matt Brozio says full PPR flex Christian McCaffrey, Dillon, or Gallup. In a full PPR, I'm relatively certain that I'm rolling with Michael Gallup. Let me confirm this. Let me confirm it. I know it's tough to sit McCaffrey, but I mean, you got to think about the entire situation that's kind of presented itself here. Yes, I would play Gallup over McCaffrey. If he's only going to play, maybe 20 snaps and maybe he touches the ball 8 times, yes, Christian McCaffrey's talented enough with 8 touches to get himself enough fantasy value. But I think there's far more potential upside for a receiver later on in the game to get himself, more fantasy point production with Dak back against Detroit Lions secondary. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Dave Curtis says full PPR. Alec Pierce or Romeo Doubs. I prefer Alec Pierce today. Thank you very much, Dave. Appreciate that. Dom sends in a question, says, trade won't count until Wednesday too. Yeah, I mean, at that point, so you don't even get them today, huh? If you don't get them today and you're not able to kind of rotate that in, it's less of a valuable kind of play. But again, it depends on what the rest of your team looks like, Dom. Again, if you have enough wide receiver depth to afford to make this move, then you certainly can. But again, it's just a matter of whether you can afford to do it based on your other wide receiver depth. Matthew Rosado sends in a question, says Gerald Everett or Tony Pollard this week in the flex. I prefer Gerald Everett, especially if it's a full PPR format. Definitely leaning in Gerald Everett's direction. If it's a standard, at that point, I'd probably go Pollard. Justin Herbert or Tua, I would play Justin Herbert. I know he's been a little bit, out of whack in the last couple weeks. I think he'll be fine against Seattle secondary. They're going to be able to move the ball, and quite frankly, Seattle's going to be able to effectively move the ball on them. That's why I have Geno so highly ranked, and that should be a pretty high scoring event. I think some of the Vegas numbers that I saw in regards to them is in the direction of like 50 plus as the over under. I think it's a pretty high ranging game there in terms of what they're expecting the scoring to look like. And Gerald Everett revenge game, just like Gmail said in the chat. Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong in that capacity. Speaking of Everett, I got to check something here. No, okay, that's what I thought. All right, moving on. All right, Westy says Ramondre Stevenson or Christian Kirk in a full PPR. I would play Ramondre Stevenson this week, Matt. Westy, thank you very much. Jack Turner says Geno or Brady this week. I would play Brady. Also, defense and kicker rankings. Yeah, let's go ahead and do that again. Again, we're about 30 minutes in here. There's about 1,500 of you guys. If you guys could do me a favor and help us get to about, 1,000 likes today, that would be greatly appreciated. I know it's asking a bunch, takes 2 seconds out of your day, but that would greatly help this channel continue to grow and continue to bring you guys these kind of daily videos and, of course, live streams on a weekly basis 4 times a week in order to help you guys win your 2022 Fantasy Football Championship. So thank you in advance. All right, let's talk about our defense and kicker rankings once again, just to kind of get it on board here. For those of you joining us, again, do not forget the rankings to the right of me are updated rankings as of this morning for my half PPR running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, and 4-point per passing touchdown quarterbacks. Top 36 at the wide receiver running back position, top 16 at quarterback and tight end. So if in fact you have a question with an positional adjustment that you need to make, obviously that is available. Understand that yes, we are not 100% certain as to whether or not Keenan Allen is going to be available for us this upcoming weekend or this upcoming afternoon. So if in fact you are in that kind of pivotal moment of thinking, okay, do I just play someone in the morning slate or go ahead and try to push for Keenan Allen? The only time I would ever push for Keenan Allen is if you have the ability to pivot from him. Again, DeAndre Carter is a potential available option in your league if in fact he doesn't play. So keep that in mind. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about the defense. Number 1, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 2, New York Jets. Number 3, New England Patriots. Number 4, Dallas Cowboys. Number 5, Green Bay Packers. Number 6, Cincinnati Bengals. Number 7, Miami Dolphins. Number 8, Baltimore Ravens. Number 9, Tennessee Titans. Number 10, New York Giants. Number 11, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. And number 12, we have Denver Broncos. We follow that up with our kicker rankings of Daniel Carlson as number 1. Number 2, Justin Tucker. Number 3, Evan McPherson. Number 4, Harrison Butker. Number 5, Graham Gano. Number 6, Brett Maher. Number 7, Jason Myers. Number 8, Nick Folk. Number 9, Ryan Suckup. Number 10, Brandon McManus. And number 11, Younghoe Koo. And number 12, Greg Zuerlein. If I could fit those on screen without making all the text super small, I would, but unfortunately, we're not in a position where we have enough visual real estate. Another person in the chat, Derek, was asking, Sutton is not on the list. That is correct. Sutton is not on the list. I do not have him as a top 36 ranked wide receiver. I think the matchup in the quarterback positional switch is far too much of a negative impact on him to make me feel confident about it. I mentioned this multiple times already. Thus far this season, Sauce Gardner in man coverage has only given up 1 reception for 5 yards. On top of it, in terms of zone coverage, he's only given up 14 receptions in 6 games for 94 receiving yards. So again, he's been pretty good in terms of coverage, one of the best in the league. And I don't really want to test him, especially with Brett Rippon as the starting quarterback of the week. Now, again, if Courtland Sutton is to, do a welcome to the NFL moment and moss him and, beat his ass, then sure, by all means, we're going to be in a great situation. But unfortunately, I don't think Sutton is a startable option this afternoon because out of the realm of possibilities, I'm thinking Sutton's probably getting double covered all day long. Alrighty, moving on. Evan Harrison sent in a question, says roster Pacheco, Drake, Murray, or Foreman. If I'm rostering one at this moment, I think that Isaiah Pacheco most likely has the highest potential out of the group. So that's kind of the direction that I'm going in. Christian sends in a question. Demille says, would you take Gibson or Mooney over Garrett in a full PPR? I would probably play both over Garrett in a full PPR, mainly because, again, I just don't trust Zach Wilson purely. That is the biggest issue. I don't trust Zach Wilson, and until I can get it to a position where I could trust him, it just doesn't seem like a feasible play there. I think there's, honestly, legitimately, I'm not even joking, I think there's more of a likelihood that Braxton Berrios has a better game than Garrett Wilson today. Evan DeAndrea says, we have Gallup or Wilson in a half PPR scoring format. I'm playing Gallup there. Follow up, also, should I move Elijah Mitchell and Jeff Wilson for like Darnell Mooney? As of right now, I'm kind of in a position of thinking we don't need to move Jeff Wilson just yet because he still could have value. As for Elijah Mitchell, just leave him on the IR for now. I would say Jeff Wilson's probably a guy that could end up being moved by next week, but I don't know if Darnell Mooney's the guy that I want to go after. I don't know how much late season upside he potentially provides going forward. So that's the current position I'm in. Let's see here. All right, so let's go ahead and let's do this. Chad Bourne says, drop Muth for Schultz. Yes, I would. I have Pitts as well. Yeah, I would still make that drop, though. Thank you, Chad. Appreciate it. Jimmy Casket says, will the Rams ever beat the Niners in the regular season? Most likely not, no. Jake St. Paul says, full PPR, Curtis Samuel or Rashad Bateman? I prefer Rashad Bateman there if he's playing today. Let's see here. Nunez says, Kenyon Drake, Edwards-Helaire, or Brian Robinson in the flex half PPR. I would play Brian Robinson. Again, like I mentioned, rankings are to the screen to the right of me. I appreciate you contributing to the channel. Greatly appreciate it. Thank you very much, Nunez. Kobe sends in a question. Says, Juju, Gallup, Drake, and Harris. Also, I have Robert Woods. Need 2 in a full PPR scoring format. Also, losing 2 hours sleep every Sunday to tune in is worth it. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. As of right now, out of the available options that you mentioned, I do prefer Michael Gallup it would be the 2 options of Michael Gallup and Harris. Those are the 2 that I prefer as of right now. Thank you. Sam Castillo sends in a question. Says full PPR, pick 2. Bateman, Pickens, Judy, Njoku, or Dobbs. Okay, so of the available players that you've mentioned, if I'm going to start 2 options within the bunch in a full PPR scoring format, I'm fairly certain that I'm playing Njoku without a doubt in my mind. It's just a matter of figuring out who that second option is. Right now, I'm looking at my list. I have Rashad Bateman next highest, if I'm not mistaken. What were the other options you mentioned? Bateman, Pickens, Judy. Yeah, so it would be Njoku and Bateman. If Bateman doesn't go, you play Dobbs in the morning slate. Thank you. Pitch sends in a question. Pitch Rendon says, I see that you have picked ahead of Hawkinson. What about in a full PPR? I'll check right now. I don't think it's going to change, if anything, but let me check. I think I'm fairly certain I have. Yeah, I still have Pitts ahead of him in a full PPR scoring format. Thank you. All right. Marion Garcia says, thoughts on this trade? I have a full PPR, Keenan Allen, Pittman, Foreman for Jacobs, Kirk. Keenan Allen, Pittman for Jacobs and Kirk. Yeah, I don't mind taking the Jacobs side of that deal. That's fine, because Foreman, again, doesn't really have much value to me, as you guys can see on rankings of the screen. So, yeah, we're chilling there. And then your team is that. As of right now, as long as you're improving that running back position, you're good to go there. I think that's perfectly fine there, Marion. Thank you. Nick sends in a question. Let me go back up to the top here. Where the heck is Nick's question? All right, Nick sent in a question. Says, flex Gerald Everett or Josh Reynolds this week. Tight end is Kittle this week. Again, it's National Tight Ends Day, so, I'm thinking let's go ahead. Let's play Everett there. Josh Reynolds is still currently, like a questionable play. So I'm just kind of worried about rolling him out there over a prospect like Everett and potentially re-injury. So at this point, there are some scenarios where I prefer Josh Reynolds, even with the potential for injury. But in regards to Gerald Everett, I'd just rather play Gerald Everett. I think he's just a safer option as of right now. Silencer 206 says half PPR, Jeff Wilson or Brian Robinson. As of right now, in a half PPR, as you guys can see on the screen rankings, I have Brian Robinson ahead of Jeff Wilson. That's where I'm going in the direction of. So thank you very much. Appreciate that. Cody sends in a question. Says, PPR, would you play Jamal over Brandon Cooks or Deontay Johnson with no Swift? Yes, I would play him over both of those options. Thank you. Kelly Appleton says, flex Alec Pierce or Deontay Johnson. As of right now, between the 2, I'd play Deontay Johnson. I think there's just far more of a potential target number for him to kind of elevate his game within the week. A lot of people in the chat are spamming Swift is out. Totally aware of it. That's why I have Jamal Williams ranked at 15 and why Swift is not on my rankings today. Thank you for the relaying of the information. I appreciate you guys doing that. Let's see here. The follow-up question from Kelly was, start Gus the Bus Edwards, Rachaad White, or Pacheco behind Taylor. I would play Pacheco there behind Taylor. Thank you. Eric sends in a question. Says, Josh Reynolds or Christian Kirk? I would play Christian Kirk this week. Thank you. Walter Gregg says, full PPR, Chris Godwin or Kenneth Walker? Ooh, I think I talked about this yesterday. I love Chris Godwin. Don't get me twisted. I really do. I think he's very easily going to probably be in that range of getting himself 14 plus fantasy points today. Maybe even better, especially in a full PPR. But I want to play Kenneth Walker. I think that matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers is far too easy. And quite frankly, the Chargers have been one of the worst defenses in terms of stopping running backs, and they're giving up the most yards per carry on average to opposing running backs this year. So I think I'm rolling with Kenneth there just for the total explosive play upside for this week. Appreciate it. All right, let me go ahead. Let's see here. I just want to scroll up, just make sure I didn't miss any questions that were sent in. Because I'm fairly certain I didn't, but just in case, just want to cover all the bases here. We did that. We did Dom's question. Eddie, we took care of. Westy, we took care of. Evan Harrison. Evan, we did Evan already. Yep, we're good to go there. We did Stan Castillo. Nunez, we did. Okay. Walter Gregg. Okay, cool. Yeah, so we've already done that. Again, if you guys have sent in a question and I haven't gotten to it yet, please be patient. I'm trying to get there as quickly as I can. Thank you very much. All right, Spencer says, Dobbs or Hawkinson today on tight end day. As of right now, I'd probably be a little bit more confident in the idea of playing Dobbs, to be totally honest. I think that's kind of in the direction that I'm going in. Let's see here. Let me check this real quick. F3. Yeah, so again, a lot of you guys are saying, I missed your question. Trust me, I haven't even gotten there yet. So, Captain, I'm getting to it in a moment. I see you're on the list, but I haven't even gotten down to your question yet. So, I'm working my way down there. Thank you. So, after we went through the Spencer Dobbs suggestion, we're going to Matthew 1031. Matthew says, good morning, sir. Good morning to you as well. We have a full PPR question. Looks like Keenan Allen is trending towards a positive direction. Yep. If he does play, would you start him? Yes. If he does play, I would start him. Flex Najee Harris or Deontay Johnson. If I'm flexing one of those two options in a full PPR scoring format, I would much rather play Deontay Johnson over Najee Harris. Thank you. Jake Olson says, Terry, Brandon Cooks, Deontay Johnson, half PPR, start one. If I'm starting one, I'm starting Brandon Cooks today. Thank you very much, Jake. Appreciate that. Mark sends in another question. Says, drop Dylan for Pacheco. IFCH. Damn, I don't know if I want to do that for... Man, I don't think I want to drop Dylan. I mean, yes, Pacheco could be the guy and end up getting a lot of value out of the backfield because we know there's so much touchdown upside. That's a tough decision to make straight up. I mean, that's why I'm kind of sitting on it thinking I don't want to move. But at this point, let's say, for example, okay, I'm just going to put a scenario out there. If Dylan is like the third best running back on your team, you probably need to make that move, right? If we're just holding Dylan as like a handcuff and he really doesn't need to play on your team and will not play on your team, I think it may be smart just to hold him just in case anything happens to Aaron Jones. Just because if anything is to happen to Aaron Jones, God forbid, Dylan would immediately become a top 5 running back rest of the season. All right, moving on. KG says, PPR pick one, Brian Robinson, Damian Harris, or George Pickens. I would play probably Brian Robinson there this week, yes. James Grover says, pick 3 in a full PPR. McCaffrey, Barkley, Ramondre, Montgomery, Juju, and Gallup. So of the potential options that you've mentioned in a full PPR scoring format, I do prefer Barkley, Stevenson, and Gallup as the 3. If I needed a 4th, then I would go with McCaffrey there. MCF 1988 says, gut feeling on a standard league, Hunt, Dylan, or Melvin Gordon the 3rd. If I was to play one, it's probably Melvin Gordon there. That's my gut feeling at the moment. OG says, full PPR, Jamal Williams or Christian Kirk. I would play Jamal Williams there. Thank you. I Love Women says, full PPR, Flex, Kareem Hunt, Evan Ingram, Donovan Peoples-Jones. In a full PPR, I would play Donovan Peoples-Jones today. Thank you very much. I think he's got a lot of upside, especially considering he's, over the last 3 weeks, been about like 9 to 11 points. If he's able to attack on a touchdown, we're in a pretty good spot there. Moving on to Corey Olson. Corey Olson says, hello, friend. Do you think Waddle will play today? Yes, I absolutely believe that he's going to play today. Everything that they have said out of their, organization has been that, Waddle's going to play and he's going to be at a pretty healthy capacity. I know he's dealing with a shoulder injury, but luckily it's not the groin injury that he was dealing with when, what was it, like week 4? So he's past that shoulder injury. Not a big deal. Let's see here. What do we have? Moving on. Andrew Gonzalez says, Travis Etienne or Christian McCaffrey this week, full PPR. I would play Travis Etienne. Thank you. Chris Curry says, half PPR, Christian McCaffrey, Mostert, or Gallup. Pick 2. I'm playing Mostert and Gallup straight up. Thank you. Lilish4 says, PPR, start 1, London, Kenyon Drake. We have CEH. We also have Bateman. If I'm starting one out of the bunch of players that you've mentioned, it's probably going to be Bateman there. And your second question there, Lilish, in a half PPR, we have start 2, Myers, Pierce, Reynolds. If I'm starting 2 out of that bunch, it would be Pierce and Myers. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's see what happens. All right. Martin Rogers says, what do you think? Najee Harris or Travis Etienne this week is my RB2. I would probably lean in the direction of going Travis Etienne. He's trending in the direction of probably having more touches this week than Najee Harris. Of course, Najee Harris will have potential goal line upside, but based on the matchup in itself and the trending direction in which Etienne's been going over the last couple of weeks and the fact that he had the first crack at the goal line carry in a Wildcat set last week, I'm leaning in his direction. I'd go Etienne. Max Payne says Pierce or Hunt. I would play Pierce. Abraham Chavez says, in a full PPR, I need 1 wide receiver and 1 flex. Ayuk, Bateman, Dobbs, Jamal Williams, Jeff Wilson, Everett, and Schultz. Of the available options, I would most likely play Jamal Williams as the flex option, and as your wide receiver option, I'm going ahead and I'm most likely leaning in the direction of playing, is it Ayuk or is it Bateman? Let me see here. full PPR. Bateman is behind Ayuk. So it would be Ayuk and then Bateman. Or sorry, yeah. So then it would be Ayuk and Jamal Williams as your plays. Jason Sommers says, is it time to drop Elijah Moore? Yes. I mean, unless you're going to assume that he gets traded in the coming days, I would probably lean in the direction of most likely saying yes. I think Elijah Moore is droppable. So I just got a report today, or just right now, that says that Chuba Hubbard is listed as the starting running back of the Carolina Panthers. How about that, huh? How about that? So, with that being the case, I will go ahead and I will adjust my rankings accordingly. Because if Chuba Hubbard's going to get the first crack at it, then why not go ahead and prefer him over D'Onta Foreman? Somebody in the chat just asked once again, why no Courtland Sutton on screen? Don't trust the quarterback. I hate the matchup against Sauce Gardner. Don't want to play a wide receiver against that in any sort of capacity. Not interested. If you'd like to play him, by all means, go for it. I think he's a good wide receiver. But he's a good wide receiver when he is in a specific scenario to succeed. As of this week, I don't know if this is the scenario for him to succeed. Let's go ahead. Chuba Hubbard. Type that in. Boom. Save that file. Save as copy. Go ahead and save this Photoshop file once again. All right. Save to the desktop. Where's the other file? We need to change it to a JPEG. And we are good to go. All right. So Chuba Hubbard takes my number 36 spot. Again, you probably are unlikely to play him, but if you are, there you go. Let's see here. Did my internet just dip out? No, it didn't. Okay, cool. Just making sure. All right, back to answering questions. So Jason Sommers was saying, do I drop Elijah Moore? I would say yes. For either Josh Reynolds or Donovan Peoples-Jones, I need a wide receiver flex badly today. Yeah, I would probably pick up Josh Reynolds, and if he's healthy and he's active, then yes, that's a pretty good swap off to have a flex wide receiver player today. Maz sends in a question, says, sounds crazy, but I just have to ask, with Osborne and Aguilar probably out, should I start Thornton against the Bears over Williams against the Seahawks? And that is an extremely crazy question. I wouldn't do that. That's totally up to you. I'm not interested in that scenario. Somebody just asked me, Brandon M in the chat was saying, why is Kenyon Drake not in the rankings? Because Gus Edwards is activated, and it's most likely going to be a running back by committee situation where at very best, the top running back gets 8 rushing attempts today. And quite frankly, I just don't want to trust any of these guys to be solidified options. If you were to start Kenyon Drake, I think the best case scenario there, Brandon, is that he gets you maybe 6 fantasy points in a half PPR, and that is not enough for me to justify suggesting him considering the current scenario of that backfield. If he's to break off a big run and make a play, by all means, that's on his, that's on him. But for right now, I'm moving in the direction of playing, no Baltimore Ravens running back today. Someone just say, why is Walker not on the list? Bruh, Kenneth Walker's number 9 at running back. Come on, guys. Open your eyes. I know if you may be on mobile, scroll down to the description of the video. We have rankings down there if you cannot see on mobile. But otherwise, I can clearly see them. And my vision, I can clearly see them like this. Actually, no, I can't. But that's a different conversation. My eyes are terrible without my glasses. But if I can clearly see them, I'm sure you guys can. All right, moving on. We have a follow-up question. Okay, so we have captain. We finally got the captain. Maroney. Okay, it says full PPR start. Josh Reynolds or Sutton? Yeah, I'm playing Josh Reynolds today. Thank you. Appreciate that. Eddie James says, if Keenan Allen is out, who would you flex instead? Pacheco, Sutton, or Pickens? In a full PPR, I would probably pivot in the direction of playing Pickens today. Thank you. AS says, can you break down Najee Harris versus Brian Robinson Jr.? Yeah, mainly it has to do with the fact that I'm just preferring Brian Robinson's opportunity share in his backfield. Again, the Green Bay Packers cannot stop the run. They have been brutalized all season long in that regard. While on the other end of the spectrum, the Miami Dolphins have been quite good. I mean, where they've basically been the best defensively has been in terms of stopping the run. Their secondary has been beat up and are relatively young in terms of experience. So that's where they get torched. As for where they're going to find value, it's probably not going to be running the ball today. It's going to be throwing, finding Pickens, finding Deontay Johnson, Freiermuth, Claypool. So for right now, because we've already seen on a short week that Brian Robinson was given 17 rushing attempts against the Chicago Bears, I'm leaning in his direction because I know Najee Harris isn't going to see that level of opportunity today, and I'd rather go ahead and lean in that direction where it's a better matchup, more opportunities. And a lot of people, they look at Taylor Heinicke and think he's not a great quarterback. I can assure you he's going to push the Green Bay Packers to the test today. All right, G Jeff says, or G Hefe says, start 2, Sutton, Garrett Wilson, Dillon, and Renfro. As of right now, assuming we're in a full half PPR, doesn't really matter. I'm fairly certain I'm going Dillon and Renfro there. Thank you. Corey Olson says, at running back, I have Jamal Williams. I have Damian Harris, Brian Robinson, Travis Etienne. In a full PPR, who would you play? If I'm picking one out of the bunch, it's playing Jamal Williams. The next best option would be Travis Etienne, in my opinion, there. So in a full PPR at running back, guys, it would be Jamal Williams, then Etienne, then Brian Robinson, then Damian Harris in that exact order. What do we have here? Is someone spamming in the chat? Guys, just be careful. We have mods in the channel, so if in fact you do spam a little too much, you will be timed out. So there may be a chance where you just get crossfire nuked and you may be not able to ask a question for the remainder of the day. Just kind of throwing it out there. Be careful. I don't control the mods. They go ape. They send it. All right. We're catching up on some of the donation questions. We just took care of Hefe. We just took care of Corey Olson again. We're moving on to Sniper. Too Easy Sniper says, pick one PPR. Pacheco, Hunt, Renfro, Wando Robinson. If I'm playing one another group, I'm playing Pacheco today. Moving on to Bolster says, full PPR, pick 2, Montgomery, Hunt, or Schultz. I'm probably in the direction of playing Schultz. And do I want to play Hunt over Montgomery in a full PPR? That's kind of a tough one. I probably wouldn't. I think Montgomery probably has more receiving upside in comparison. So I'd go Montgomery and Schultz there. Okay. Joga Inc. says, Lamb, Cooks are my wide receivers. Do I play Dobbs or Gallup? I would play Gallup, even if you're playing Gallup. Even if you're playing Lamb, excuse me. All right, moving on. We have Lucky Slevin says, in a full PPR, Deontay Johnson, Christian Kirk, Brandon Cooks. If I'm picking one, it's Christian Kirk, then Brandon Cooks, then Deontay Johnson in that order. Would you drop Khalil Herbert for Pacheco for a stash? Yes, I would. Anthony Ramos says, full PPR. I need one running back, one wide receiver, one tight end, one flex. Of the available options, who do I play? It's a tough matchup this week. Okay, so let's see here. If I'm picking one running back out of the ones that you mentioned, you have Christian McCaffrey and A.J. Dillon. I'd play Christian McCaffrey. As for the wide receivers that you mentioned, Pickens or Sutton or Wando Robinson, I would rather play Pickens. As for your flex, I'm playing David Njoku there. Thank you. JD Garcia. Let's see here. Where do we have it? JD. What is it? Garcia. Wait. Where did it go? Where did JD go? Let me see. JD. All right, JD. Are you in this chat? JD, if you could do me a favor and type in the chat again, because your donation was not attached with a message. So if you can go ahead and type that in the chat so I can answer that, that'd be greatly appreciated. Youngberg4 says full PPR, sit 1, Kenneth Walker, Godwin, or Mike Williams. In a full PPR scoring format, I would most likely sit Mike Williams today. I have Kenneth Walker and Godwin ahead of him. Yes, sir. Yeah, that's the way I would go. Thank you. Let's see here. Bug Nasty says, James Robinson, Michael Carter, George Pickens. If I'm playing one in a full PPR at the flex, I'm playing George Pickens today. Thank you. Following that up, we have Ashley sending the question, says, should I avoid starting Deion Jackson? Yeah, I mean, Deion Jackson's not a startable option today because both Jonathan Taylor and Nyheim Hines are active. So yeah, Deion Jackson's probably droppable. You have Gibson. Yes, swap him for Gibson. Unless, again, you do have maybe Isaiah Pacheco, Chuba Hubbard available on your waivers. I think those could be two guys that you could pick up, maybe even throw them in there. But yeah, Gibson's not a bad option as a kind of play in regards to that. Coy Rollins says, where do you have D-Hops on the board? D-Hop, sorry to remind you, but D-Hop played on Thursday. So if you go back to my Tuesday rankings video at wide receiver, I'm fairly certain I had D-Hop at number 7. But again, he's not playing today because he's already played, so why would I have him ranked? Moving on. I'm looking for Mr. JD Garcia. Where you at, my man? Where you at? Vex sends in a question. Vex says Kelsey, Gallup, Jacoby, or Taylor and Schultz. If I'm picking two, okay, so I don't know what the rest of your team looks like, but if you need that running back depth, I'm perfectly fine making that trade and taking Taylor rest of the season over Kelsey. Thank you. Law C says, full PPR format, I need 2 wide receivers and a flex. We have Sutton, Ayuk, we have Curtis Samuel, we have Mooney, we have Brian Robinson, we have Kenny Drake. Thanks, Andrew. Love the channel. Thank you very much, Law C. I would say Brian Robinson is your flex, and then your 2 wide receivers are going to be Ayuk, and I'm following that up with probably sitting in a situation where I'm probably playing Mooney on Monday night. Thank you. Jake Perez says coin toss, half PPR. Najee Harris or ETN? I don't think this is a coin toss. I greatly prefer ETN over him. Thank you. Moving on. Gucci Han, Louis Han, hope you're doing well. Says, my guy, full PPR. I need 2 out of the potential New England running backs and Jeff Wilson. If we're in that scenario, I'm probably... As much it is difficult to potentially do this, I'm probably just starting both New England running backs just to make sure that I get no leakage of my fantasy points. I don't want, to play Ramondre and then leave Damian on my bench, and all of a sudden Damian Harris is stealing those rushing touchdowns on the goal line. You know what I mean? So let's just play the New England backs. Let's roll it with that. Thank you very much, Gucci Han. Josh Campbell says Schultz or Freiermuth today. Flex Aaron Jones, Lazard, or Gallup. I'd play Schultz and Aaron Jones there today. I know playing Aaron Jones may be tough, but it's built in my DNA to have to play that man. Just have to. Let's see here. Moving on. We had Brandon Diaz says full PPR, Josh Reynolds or David Montgomery. I would play Josh Reynolds. Thank you very much, Brandon. I appreciate that. Baker Breaks says start Jeff Wilson Jr., Chuba Hubbard, or Kenyon Drake. Again, Jeff Wilson's the play. Do not forget, guys, for those of you who are joining us as of this morning, to the right of me, we have updated rankings as of this morning. We just kind of adjusted this moments ago, having Chuba Hubbard as my number 36, considering he's being considered the starting back of the Carolina Panthers today, at least. I mean, it's not to say that there's not going to be a rotation. There's certainly going to be a rotation, but either way, to the right of me, we have updated rankings for a half PPR scoring format as of our top 36 running backs and wide receivers, top 16 quarterbacks, and tight ends. Again, if you are on mobile and you cannot see, I have rankings in the description of the video. Scroll down there and find the rankings within the interpositional kind of decision making. Outside of that, again, if you guys are going to send in a question via donation, we greatly appreciate it, but be sure to include your scoring format. Otherwise, my assumption is that you're talking about a half PPR, and at that point, it'd be interesting, but the rankings are on screen if that helps. Either way, thank you guys for joining us this morning. If you have not yet already, be sure to click the like button down below. Also, if you guys are trying to play more daily fantasy outside of your own leagues, you can go ahead, travel down to the description of the video and click on the link over to Prize Picks. If you sign up today using promo code Andrew, when you make a first-time deposit, you'll be given a first-time deposit match up to $100. Again, some of my favorite plays this weekend are more in terms of David Njoku receiving yards, Tony Pollard total receiving rushing yards, and Jason Meyer field goals made. That's a nice little 3-leg, entry that you can make and win some money today. Thank you very much. All right, let's see here. Gucci Han sent in another question. He had said full PPR, Amari Cooper on the road or Romeo Doubs. Yeah, I'm playing Amari Cooper there. For sure playing Amari Cooper. I mean, the fact that he has seen as many games as he has of 10-plus targets, 4 out of the last 6, I mean, he is such a pivotal part of that offense. I'm rolling with him. Also, while we have a lot of you in here, about 1,500, I do want to go ahead and reiterate. We are going to go over our top 12 defenses and kickers for today. So if you need to kind of pick somebody up or make an adjustment, maybe look at your waivers, this will be a good time to kind of make sure that your defenses are good to go or kickers. So here we go. Because again, for those of you who still play with defenses or kickers, because I do have some leagues which they're not included because, again, they're just kind of random points at times. These could definitely win you a week or potentially lose you a week if you're not playing the right guy. So let's talk about our top 12 defenses going into the week. Number 1, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 2 is the New York Jets. Number 3, we have the New England Patriots. Number 4, Dallas Cowboys. Number 5, Green Bay Packers. Number 6, Cincinnati Bengals. Number 7, Miami Dolphins. Number 8, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Number 9, we have the Tennessee Titans. Number 10, New York Giants. Number 11, Jacksonville Jaguars. And number 12, Denver Broncos. When we follow that up with the kicker position, we begin with Daniel Carlson at number 1, Justin Tucker 2, Evan McPherson number 3, Harrison Butker number 4, Graham Gano number 5, Brett Maher number 6, Jason Myers number 7. We have Ryan Succop at number Nick Folk at number 8, Ryan Suckup at number 9. We have number 10, Brandon McManus, number 11, Younghoe Koo, and number 12 is Greg Zuerlein. Couple of the main priority waiver wire options within those positions from earlier this week was obviously the Cardinals defense and the Jets defense as teams that we might want to go ahead and go after. Along with the priority kicker position that we may have wanted to go after is Jason Myers for the Seattle Seahawks, mainly because he's had 4 consecutive weeks of 10 or more fantasy points. So those are guys that, if in fact they're available still, because I know that their roster percentage is relatively still low, could be something that we want to go with. Somebody in the chat had asked again. So someone in the chat asked, what is the list, chat? Again, the list on the right are my updated rankings as of this morning for a half PPR scoring format. Somebody also asked, where is Sutton? Not on the list because I do not want to play him as a top 36 wide receiver. Do not like the matchup. Do not like the quarterback. Somebody also asked, just right now, Mixon above Breece. Again, I have Breece at 7 and Mixon at 11. So no, Breece ahead of Mixon, please. Thank you. All right. So I will go back to answering some of the questions that were sent in. Blade Green sends in a question, says, James Robinson or Isaiah Pacheco or Deontay Johnson half PPR scoring format. Let me go ahead and let me actually look this up because that one off the top of my head is a pretty difficult question to answer. So as of right now, of the available options that we have here, where art thou? I'm probably playing Pacheco there, to be honest, in a half PPR. Ahead of Deontay. All right, moving on. We have J. Do. J. Do says, Dobbs or Myers? I would play Myers today in a full PPR. Thank you. Or tomorrow. He plays on Monday. Carson says, full PPR. Zeke or McCaffrey? I would play Zeke. Again, like represented on screen, I have Zeke in my rankings, certainly, but definitely not going to play him over guaranteed players that are going to have, a lot of opportunity today. I'm expecting McCaffrey to play, but not at a high enough rate to make him, more valuable than a lot of these other prospects, guys. And then your follow-up question is any one wide receiver, one flex of the available options that you've mentioned. It's probably the safest route to go in a full PPR of playing Myers and Reynolds. But at that point, okay, Carson, if in fact you're like, you know what, Andrew, I got to play McCaffrey. It's in your blood. Then yes, let's do it. Let's play Zeke at running back. Let's play Myers at flex. And let's also flex McCaffrey and let's see what happens. You know what I mean? Because at that point, I wouldn't be mad because I kind of want to see what happens with McCaffrey, right? I kind of want to hope that he has an upside play, but it's tough. Where's Keenan Allen? He's on the list. I'm telling you, he's on the list. He's there. Moving on. We have D. Porter says, hey there, in the flex, do I play Juju or Pickens this upcoming weekend? Okay, so of the 2 available options, as of right now, they're back-to-back in my rankings. In a full PPR scoring format, I would prefer Pickens. You didn't mention a format, so in a half PPR it's Juju, but in a full PPR it'll be Pickens. Thank you. Ryan Rubio says Wilson Jr., London, or Montgomery as my as I needed one flex. I would play Jeff Wilson Jr. today. Thank you. Perry Paul says half PPR Reynolds, Michael Carter, Pacheco. Probably leaning in the direction of playing Pacheco there. Thank you. Derek Brown, where art thou? Let's see here, Derek Brown. Oh, you know what? I needed to see if JD sent in a question. JD, where you at, my man? JD, all right, we got your question, JD. Here we go. JD says, full PPR. I need one running back, one wide receiver, and one wide receiver / running back. These are my available options. We have McCaffrey, we have Brian Robinson, we have David Montgomery, we have Deontay Johnson, we have Josh Reynolds, or Gallup or Michael Pierce from the waivers. Okay, listen, if you have Gallup and Michael Pierce on the waivers, I think I'm very comfortable picking up Gallup there and probably starting him as your wide receiver after. So let me see here. Yeah, so this is what I would probably do. I'd probably play Brian Robinson, and then I'd follow that up with playing Deontay at wide receiver, and then picking up Gallup for Reynolds and playing him at wide receiver or as your flex. That's probably what I would do there, JD. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, so after we caught up to JD, let me go ahead and move past that. We need to get down to Ryan Rubio. We did that. Perry Paul. Derek Brown. Derek Brown says Jeff Wilson Jr., Jerry Jeudy, Gus Edwards, or Schultz in a full PPR. I'm going to go with Jeff Wilson Jr. there. Thank you. Johannes Gasman says, full PPR, Tony Pollard, Sutton, or Pickens. In a full PPR scoring format, I'm probably leaning in the direction of going Tony Pollard there today. Thank you. Daryl Derrick says, full PPR, Jeff Wilson Jr. or Josh Reynolds. I don't think that Jeff Wilson will see that will have the same performance he did as last week, but I'm also confident that Reynolds has a little bit of consistency there. Yeah, if someone can confirm to me if Josh Reynolds is going to be active today, that would be greatly appreciated. Someone in the chat could go venture off and see if Ian Rappaport or one of those insider guys has some sort of insight in that regard. That'd be greatly appreciated. As for your question, let me check my rankings. Full PPR. Boom, boom, boom. Oops. All right, let me go F3 Reynolds. Nope, that's not it. It's Control F. We don't do F3. Okay. I have Josh Reynolds there. And where do I have Jeff Wilson Jr.? I have Josh Reynolds ahead of Jeff Wilson Jr. in a full PPR scoring format. Thank you. Moving on. Chris R says Pierce or he is active today. Good. So yeah, we're going to play him. Chris R said, you know what? I might just play him. Give me a second here. Actually, no, I can't afford to play him. Let me look at my one league that I have him on the fringe. No, I can't play him there. It's a half PPR. I can't play him there. Never mind. All right, moving on. Chris R says Pierce or Bateman. Right now, I would go with Pierce, mainly because I know he's going to be active and I know he's going to be in a relatively active position within the offense. Bateman, again, is coming off the injury. Could be limited. We're not 100% certain, but he still will have some sort of semblance of value, mainly because Denzel Ward, the starting cornerback of the Browns, is out today. So that's why I have him where I have him. Crypt Keeper says PPR, Walker or Godwin. I would play Kenneth Walker today. Follow up, Lamb, Amon-Ra, or you're already starting Lamb, Amon-Ra, St. Brown, and Pittman. Yeah, listen, you got a stud roster regardless of where you go here, Crypt Keeper. So I prefer Kenneth Walker, but you're good to go. Moving on. Derek Brown sent in another question, said PPR, Hunt, Hurst, or Samuel. If I'm playing one in a full PPR, it's probably Samuel there. Joshua Wilkins says, happy Sunday, Andrew. Yes, happy tight end, National Tight Ends Day, huh, guys? Can I trust Jamal this week? Yes, absolutely. Can Dallas defense, can Dallas do what the Patriots did? They absolutely can. Dallas is a very good defense. Guys, look at how many points Dallas has allowed thus far this season. They are very much so a lockdown defense, but again, there's still potential for Jamal Williams to get a rushing attempt inside the 10, get himself over 12 fantasy points quite quickly, with a couple big plays here and there. Again, we thought the other day that the Arizona Cardinals defense could not be touched. And, Andy Dalton walks in, throws 4 touchdowns and 300 yards. So, again, any given Sunday. Moving on. Your follow-up question there, Joshua, was half PPR flex, Brian Robinson, Kirk, or Gallup. Of the available options that you've mentioned, I'm probably leaning in the direction of going Brian Robinson there. So, yeah, trust Jamal, go Brian Robinson. We're good to go. Good 7 says Sutton or Bateman. I would play Bateman today. Anthony Ort says Rodgers or Jimmy G, Amon-Ra St. Brown or Godwin. I would play Amon-Ra St. Brown over Godwin. I would play Rodgers ahead of Jimmy G. Ever so slightly. But again, if you want to play Jimmy G, they're close enough in my rankings to where you could go either way. And I think they're very similarly going to get you about 16 fantasy points. That's where I have them projected for this weekend. Samuel Moss. Let me see here, Samuel. Samuel Moss. Oops. All right, Samuel. If you could do me a favor and type in the chat, because your donation was quite a while ago and there wasn't a message attached to it. So would greatly appreciate that. Sam in the chat says, this guy only answers people who donate. Well, here's the thing, Sam. I don't only answer people who donate. I just prioritize it because, again, if they're going to contribute to the channel and keeping the lights on and all that kind of stuff, then they get a priority, right? Because that makes sense. Considering the capacity which I have with one of me and about 1,500 of you, I'm trying the very best I can to answer those questions and get through that so that I can get to the chat. So, again, apologies if I can't get to your question. That's why I have rankings on the screen. If I can't answer your question with the rankings on the screen, hopefully by proxy of answering somebody else's question, I could get to yours. But if not, then it is what it is. That's the situation that we're currently in. Thank you. Moving on. Alex Nava says, full PPR, pick 2. Again, if you guys want your questions answered, Saturday is typically the place to be. Sunday morning, it's crammed. Saturday afternoon, I mean, that was the prime spot. But anyway, we're trying our very best. Where's Samuel? Sam, you gonna type in here anytime soon? No? Okay. Alex Nava says, full PPR, pick 2, Mixon, Breece Hall, or Stevenson. Of the available options, I'm playing Mixon and Hall. Thank you. Anthony Barrett says, Kareem Hunt or Kenyon Drake. I play Kareem Hunt there. Thank you. Ray says, flex, Brian Robinson, Dobbs, or Alec Pierce, or Christian McCaffrey in the flex this upcoming weekend. Yikers. I'm probably going with Alec Pierce there. Thank you. Let's see here. Nikhil says, half PPR, move Sutton For Godwin rest of season, yes, I would love that. Let's see here. What else we got? Jesse says CEH/Latavius Murray, higher floor in a full PPR. I think Clyde Edwards probably has a higher floor. Joel Garza says full PPR, Bateman or Brandon Cooks, and why? Brandon Cooks mainly because I know he's healthy. And to follow that up, I know that Bateman is going to have to compete with Duvernay and Deshaun Jackson for the deep target threats that really kind of separates him from the pack. So that's kind of why I'm leaning the direction of going Brandon Cooks. Moving on, we have Brandon Cooks really doesn't have to compete with much. Nico Collins is the next man up, and really he doesn't get that many targets. Joel Garza says full PPR, Bateman or Brandon. Okay, we did that. Landon Ramirez says drop Conklin for Bellinger. Yes, I would. Higbee is on bye. Yeah, I would do that. Let's go get Bellinger for the Giants. Thank you. Where are we at? Okay, moving on. Landon Ramirez. Okay, Dom sends in a question. Says Hunter Bateman in a half PPR. I play Bateman there. Thanks for the advice in advance. Yep. Yeah, what does it say? Thanks again for the advice. Even though he pulled... Oh, okay, yeah, no problem, Dom. I mean, it's fine. We're just going to have to continue to try to look for other trade options there. Jake sends in a question. Says, full PPR, Bateman, Pickens, Reynolds. I would go with Reynolds there probably first and foremost. And then following that up with going in a full PPR, Schuster or Bateman, I'd go with Bateman ahead of Schuster. Rusty Wright says, Christian McCaffrey or Brandon Ayuk. In a full PPR scoring format, it's probably Ayuk and a half. I could probably see myself playing McCaffrey there just because I want to. Your team is currently that. Should I trade for a running back or a wide receiver? As of right now, I don't think you need to trade for a running back. You got 3 solid. As for a wide receiver, once Diggs is back off the bye week, you have Williams, you have Kirk. You don't really need to make any moves there, in my opinion, unless you're going to go after, like you're mentioning, Breece Hall and Lamb, which, in my opinion, would not be a bad move at all there, Rusty. Arthur sends in a question. Says, need 1 running back, 1 wide receiver, 1 flex. Pacheco, CEH, Drake, Brian Robinson, Bateman, Alec Pierce. Okay, so of the available options that you have in a full PPR scoring format, the running back I'm suggesting is going with Brian Robinson. Then I would follow up with playing Gallup as the wide. Wait, did you not have Gallup? No, you didn't have Gallup. I don't know why I was thinking Gallup. Maybe it was the prior question. It would be Pacheco. No, it would be Brian Robinson. Then it would be Alec Pierce, and it would probably also be Bateman. Those are the 3. Thank you. Uday says, flex Pacheco or Kenyon Drake. I would play Pacheco this week. Legion sends in a question. Says, quarterbacks are Herbert and Tua. My wide receivers are DeAndre Hopkins, Olave, Adams, Sutton, Lockett, and Everett, and Waller are my tight ends. My running backs are Walker, Pierce, and Mixon. Thoughts on my team? I mean, you got a pretty stud roster, obviously, for today or this week specifically. I mean, you're playing Herbert, you're playing Adams, you're playing D-Hop. Obviously, hopefully you'd set up D-Hop in that regard. Everett as your tight end, you're good to go. Walker, Mixon, Pierce as your running back flex. I mean, I have no complaints with this team, and quite frankly, I don't know how you improve it unless you're gonna trade away one of your bigger pieces to try to make a upside. Hey, I'm moving Pierce and I'm moving I don't know, Olave. Somebody give me Saquon Barkley. You know what I mean? Alex sends in a question. Alex says half PPR, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Rashad White, or Latavius Murray. Of the available options, I would play Donovan Peoples-Jones. Anthony Ramos says, at the flex, who do you play? Pitts, Dillon, or Sutton? Full PPR. I'd probably play Kyle Pitts this weekend. Thank you. Legion says, should I make any trades with the team above? Again, like I was mentioning, unless you're going to make a move where you're setting Pearson, like Olave, some of your stud 15-plus point players to try to get an even better player, like you're going after Cup or something of that exchange, that's the only guys that I would want to go for. Otherwise, you got a pretty solid roster with a lot of depth there. Mike says, Diggs or Jefferson rest of season? That's a good question, honestly. Right now, I would probably say Diggs. Yeah, I'd probably say Diggs because he just has more touchdown upside. Berlin B. I haven't read that name in a while. Welcome back, Berlin. How you doing? Where do you rank Williams with Swift out? Again, I already have that on screen. Earlier today, when I set up the rankings, I already knew that DeAndre Swift wasn't going to play. I mean, I was given the indication that he wasn't going to play last night. So I've already adjusted the rankings as such. So you're good to go with that. Just play Jamal Williams as my number 15 back. Roll with it. Thank you very much. Alrighty, where are we at here? Francisco sends in a question. Says PPR must play one. We have Reynolds, we have Keenan Allen, we have Khalil Herbert. Okay, so here's the issue that you currently have. You have to pick between Keenan Allen and Josh Reynolds. If it's me, I would try to play Keenan Allen. But you would only be able to do so if, in fact, you have a pivoting option available in the afternoon slate. And what I mean by that is if you have somebody on the Chargers, the Seahawks, the Chiefs, the 49ers, the Buccaneers. Is it the Buccaneers? No. Okay, these are the afternoon games. Texans, Raiders, Jets, Broncos, Chiefs, 49ers, Seahawks, Chargers, Steelers, Dolphins, Bears, Patriots. So unless you have a pivoting option within that game, you're probably in a position where you just play Myers and you're good to go. Now, again, you could end up waiting for Keenan Allen, and if he doesn't play DeAndre Carter. I think DeAndre Carter is a lesser option than Josh Reynolds this week, but again, he could be, that risk it for the biscuit kind of, let's try to get Keenan Allen in there option. Again, the Chargers do have a bye week in week 8 next week, which again kind of keeps me worried about Keenan Allen a little bit, but quite frankly, if you have a pivoting option, doesn't bother me too much because I'm assuming he's playing based on everything I've seen this week. Moving on. We have a question. What do we have here? Someone asked Montgomery or Kirk. I probably played Christian Kirk today. Montgomery's against the Patriots. Just not a fine enough option going up against Belichick's defense as of this moment. All right, let's see here. Francisco, we went through your question. We have Kareem. Kareem, thank you very much. Says start 2 in a full PPR scoring format. We have Pickens, we have Bateman, we have Brian Robinson, we have ETN. Of the available options that you've mentioned, ETN absolutely needs to play. Outside of him, if Brian Robinson had that PPR, I think I'm still playing Brian Robinson even without the PPR upside, mainly because I really do think that Washington can run through Green Bay's defense today. It would be ETN, Brian Robinson, Bateman, Pickens in that order. Thank you. Peter sends in a question, says, PPR, really want to start Ayuk over Mike Williams. Seems like a better option this week. Really? Okay, maybe for you. Also starting Mixon, Aaron Jones, Waddle, Ramondre in the flex. Thanks. Listen, at this point, I absolutely believe that Mike Williams is a better play than Ayuk. Target opportunity, offensive structure, based on the fact that they're not, really looking outside of Mike Williams, Everett, and Keenan Allen as their primary options there. Like, the issue with Ayuk is that he is behind Kittle, he is behind Debo. In some scenarios, he's obviously behind the running game and the approach there. And guys, by the way, if you're wondering why I have Jeff Wilson as high ranked as I do, if you go back and you watch that Kansas City Chiefs game, when I had a chance to go back and watch that back, the ability for the team to run the ball, the Raiders, the way that they went and they ran up the gut the entire game, the packages in which they had 21 personnel with two backs and one tight end, specifically in the sets where they had a fullback, they absolutely blasted the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, if you go ahead and you set up Jeff Wilson with Kyle Juszczyk, George Kittle as a pulling option, they're going to blast through this Kansas City front seven. I'm telling you guys. So just putting it out there, Kansas City Chiefs, they can stop the pass, but stopping the run is going to be tough, especially when they have a fullback back there, going at your linebackers. Appreciate it. Okay. As of right now, yes, I'm still playing Michael Williams. Thank you. Jason says CEH, Pacheco, or Dobbs in a half PPR. I play Pacheco there. Thank you very much, Jason. I appreciate that. Satish Nepal says, we have Sutton, we have Keenan Allen, we have Zeke, we have Jamal Williams. Pick 2 in a full PPR. I would play Jamal Williams and Zeke. No concern. Play them both. You're good to go. Azul sends in a question. Says full PPR flex options are DJ Moore, Sutton, and Juju. I play Juju this week. Thank you. Alfredo says Sutton, Latavius Murray, London, Gus Edwards. Of the available options in a full PPR, I would play Drake London. Thank you. Travis Hayes says half PPR, pick 1. Hunt, London, Wan'Dale Robinson. In a half PPR scoring format, let me check my rankings just so I can confirm it. Where is Hunt in comparison to... No, that's Hunter Renfrow. I need Hunt. No. Okay, hold on. Wait. Kareem. How about that? Kareem Hunt. There we go. I have Kareem Hunt ahead of Wan'Dale Robinson. Who is your other option in a half PPR? Drake London. I have Drake London ahead of him. So I play London, Hunt, then Robinson in that order in a half PPR. Afro Boy says full PPR. Pick 2. Hunt, Ayuk, Mostert, and Najee Harris. If I'm picking 2 in a full PPR scoring format, I'm most likely going to go ahead and roll with both those running backs. I go with Mostert and Najee. I think I mentioned this either yesterday or on Thursday. I had a dream this week where Najee Harris went for 150 rushing yards and like a touchdown. Now, I don't know if my dreams are like the prophecy being fulfilled or if this is just like a dream in comparison to what reality actually presents. And it's harsh reality of Najee Harris barely being able to get over 10 fantasy points. But just putting it out there, for those of you who think I'm a prophet, do not believe that. It's just a joke. But, I'm just throwing it out there. But either way, in this specific scenario, Afroboy, yes, I'm playing Mostert and I'm playing Najee. Junior, you know what? Who else's question did we miss earlier that I was like, yo, I think it was Samuel, right? Samuel, where are you at, my man? Are you in here? Samuel Moss, thank you. We have Samuel here saying, my running backs are Henry, Elliott, Brian Robinson, Gus Edwards. We need to pick 2 wide receivers here. Okay. We have Debo, T. Higgins, Mike Williams, Tyler Lockett. If I'm picking 2 wide receivers out of this bunch, it's Debo and T. Higgins. And then we have to follow up with pick 2 for the flex out of everybody else. Okay. So hold on. Wait. So Samuel Moss, under the assumption that you're playing Henry and Elliott as your 2 starting running backs, okay, and then you're playing Debo and T. Higgins as your 2 starting wide receivers, and you need to pick 2 as a flex option, you would play Mike Williams, and then you would also probably be in the realm of I want to play Tyler Lockett, but I don't want to play until he plays until the afternoon. So at that point, you would just play Brian Robinson. So Henry, Elliott, Brian Robinson, Debo Samuel, T. Higgins, Mike Williams. Thank you very much. All right, moving on. Who just sent in a question? It was Junior. Let's find you. Junior says, I need help at the wide receiver in the flex in a full PPR scoring format today. All right, awesome, Junior. So we need to help you out with the following. Starting Everett at tight end, we have Dobbs, Pickens, AJ Dillon, Hunt, and Pitts at the potential flex. If I'm playing one of the flex today, it's going to be Romeo Dobbs there, Junior. Thank you. I'd much rather, I think, play Dobbs or Pickens over Pitts today. Just in a PPR format, just in general, because I do expect them to see more targets. Again, for those of you who are just joining us this morning, again, good morning and welcome to National Tight Ends Day. Hopefully our tight ends pop off as we're expecting them to, but if they don't, that is the normal tight end week, so it is what it is. But reminder to you guys, to the right side of the screen, we have updated rankings as of this morning for a half PPR scoring format, my top 36 running backs, wide receivers, along with my top 16 quarterbacks and tight ends. So if you have a question within that, and you want to know Andrew's opinion, the rankings on the screen reflect that exactly for a half PPR scoring format. Again, people are sending in questions, so I'm trying to address those as quickly as I can so I can get into the chat. I will once again address my top my top 12 defenses and kickers at 9:30 p.m. PST. So in about 9 minutes from now, I will be mentioning my top 12 kickers and defenses. If you guys could do me a favor while you're in the chat, click that like button down below. If we can somehow, some way get to 1,000 likes today, that would be greatly appreciated. So support for the channel. Again, we recently surpassed 70K subscribers here. Cannot thank you guys enough for the incredible support. All right, catching up. James, haven't gotten to your question yet. I see it, but I haven't gotten there yet, okay? So we're still catching up to yours, James. James, your question was Jamal Williams or Brian Robinson. I would play Jamal Williams. Okay. Catching up. Justin sent in a question, says, everyone start Jamal Williams. Swift is out. Yes, exactly. Precisely, Justin. Brandon says, full PPR, who to flex? Gallup, Drake, Edwards, Pacheco. In a full PPR, I would play Gallup today. Jason says, start 2 in a standard league, CH, Pacheco, Montgomery or Robinson. Who is the Robinson that you're referring to? If it's Brian Robinson, I would roll with him. And then the next best, if it was James Robinson, I think I'd still probably roll. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Yeah. Either Robinson, I'm probably rolling with it, along with Pacheco this week. Thank you, Jason, in a standard league. Hayden sends in a question, says start 2.5 PPR. We have Zeke, we have Pacheco, we have Bateman, we have Jamal Williams, we have Sutton. Jamal Williams is an automatic. Zeke is an automatic. Those are the 2 that I'm playing this week. Thank you. Lenny sends in a question. Lenny says, in a full PPR, I need 2 options here, Andrew. JT, Stevenson, Pierce. Would you start all 3? And I already have Tyreek Hill, Mike Evans, and Higgins playing. Oh, pain. That is what I express to you at this moment. This is just pain and suffering for my soul. Because I do really want to play all 6 of those options, but unfortunately, you don't have the ability to do so. Let me check my full PPR rankings just so we're on the same page here, because it's going to be a matter of whether or not Ramondre is higher than Higgins this week as to where the decision goes. As of right now, I have T. Higgins as my number 22 player as my top 100 flex options this week. Ramondre is number 24. So if I'm picking options, I'm playing JT and Pierce. I'm playing Tyreek, Evans, and Higgins. And I'm benching Stevenson, which may sound a little bit, interesting to an extent, but it mainly has to do with the fact that Damian Harris is returning, and Again, a lot of you who are arguing the idea that, yes, Andrew, Stevenson's played so well. Why would they bring back Damian Harris and give him starting opportunity and split touches? Well, it's because it's exactly what they did last year. And it's something that they're going to continue to do because this team believes in running those two running backs because they believe they're both very talented players. And I agree. All right, moving on. Jamar sends in a question, says, nasty list here. Okay, I need running back off the waivers with Swift out. We have Hubbard, we have Edmonds, we have... Okay, yeah, I think this is pretty easy in my eyes. Of the available players that you have here, Jamar, it's a matter of whether your scoring format is half PPR or better. If it is, I'm probably playing Nyheim Hines there. If it's not, I would probably play Hubbard in a standard scoring format. So Nyheim Hines is the play. Otherwise, you play Hubbard. Jonathan Miner, haven't seen that name in a while. Hope you're doing well. Says half PPR flex, Dylan, Pacheco, CEH, or Dobbs. Of the available, I'm playing Pacheco there. Thank you. Ash Davis says flex PPR, Higgins, ETN, Gallup, or Bateman. In a full PPR scoring format, I'm going to play Higgins there as my first and foremost. Number 2 would be ETN. Thank you. Kenneth Walker says Jamal Williams for Detroit or Jacoby Myers versus New England in the flex. Absolutely play Jamal Williams against the Cowboys today. Thank you. Michael says Taco Bell or Wendy's. Bro, don't even get me started with fast food. I haven't had an actual fast food meal in... I haven't had Taco Bell or Wendy's. I haven't had Wendy's in maybe 5 years. I haven't had Wendy's since I was like 300 plus pounds. Like it has been a while since I've traveled to those places. Now I'm sitting at a cool 250. Like I'm not messing around with those places anymore. But Wendy's, that Baconator, it hits. I'll tell you. All right, moving on. What do we have here? We have a question from Alex Nava. Says Josh Reynolds. We have Keenan Allen. We have Curtis Samuel. Of the available options, again, like I was mentioning earlier with somebody, I do want to play Keenan Allen. But unfortunately, we're probably in a scenario where we're not 100% certain until we get to, a game time decision. So, with that being said, you could play Reynolds. I think Allen has more potential upside if he does end up playing. But at this point, if you have the ability to pivot to DeAndre Carter or somebody to that extent, I think I'm going to push it. I think I'm going to try to play Keenan Allen today. Matthew Rosado says, Everett, Kittle, Pollard. I'm going to go ahead and play Everett there. I'm going to go ahead and play Kittle there. I scared myself for a second. I'm going to play Kittle there, then Everett, then Pollard in that exact order. Thank you. Azul says, full PPR, start one, Sutton, Juju, or DJ Moore. Am I catching up or am I repeating myself? I would play Juju there. Thank you. What would be a good trade for Amon, Kupp, or Diggs? Legion, let me go back up to your team and let me see. Legion, for the team that you have, where the heck is your team, Legion? Legion. For the team that you have, if you're going after an Amon-Ra St. Brown or a Kupp or something of that extent, like if I'm going to trade for Kupp, again, it depends on what that team needs. But like I'm willing to go ahead and I'm willing to branch off and break Olave and Pierce and send out in the direction. If I can take that and get back, a full PPR Kupp who's putting up 30 points a week, I'll take that influx. That's kind of what I'm looking for. As for Amon-Ra St. Brown, like at this point, I think Olave is of the value, or even DeAndre Hopkins is of the value to a straight up trade there. As to what they've presented recently. So I'm okay making those kind of moves as well. Just straight up trade. Otherwise, you don't move a running back. You only move a running back unless you're getting a really high upper scale wide receiver like a Diggs or Kupp or Jefferson. Other than that, you don't move a running back unless you're going to get one in return. All right. Couple more questions that were sent in. We're trying to catch up. Casey Jones, thank you very much. Says Claypool or Boyd this weekend as my wide receiver 3. I believe I have Claypool higher. Let me confirm this. Let's check my rankings. We have Claypool ahead of Tyler Boyd this week. Thank you. Dale Derrick says, my phone died. When I sent my last message, am I playing Josh Reynolds or Jeff Wilson? Josh Reynolds it is. Dale Derrick, thank you. Matthew Langley says, Muth or Schultz? I play Schultz. Kirk or Mostert? I'm probably playing Mostert there. That needs to be absolutely smoked out. Okay, what the heck is that? Yeah, in the chat said, is Keenan Allen playing? We don't know until the afternoon slate. He's going to warm up before the game, and we'll see if he's available there. Let's So we're not 100% certain as to whether or not he's going to play. All right, Matthew Langley. What was I saying? Is it Mostert or Kirk? Yeah, I think I'm probably going with Mostert there. So Schultz and Mostert. Lilish479 says 1 QB, Tua, Ryan, or Carr. Out of those options, I'm playing Tua. And then for your running back, ETN or Jamal Williams, I would play Jamal Williams. Thank you. Casey Jones with another question says my RB1 is Saquon. Ramondre, Zeke, Mostert is my RB2. If I'm picking one as the RB2, I'm playing Ramondre ahead of Zeke and Mostert. Thank you. Berlin B says pick one. Standard, Everett, Sutton, Myers, Pickens. I'm going to play Everett there. James Herr says Jamal Williams or Brian Robinson. Play Jamal Williams there. Again, thank you. John Irons. What a last name, Irons, huh? Like Jeremy Irons. John Irons says, I need to start one, flex, Mostert or Alec Pierce full PPR. Probably going to lean in the direction. By the way, hold up. What was that prior question? Matthew Langley, if you could tell me in the chat whether you're playing in a half or full PPR, that'd be greatly appreciated because that actually matters. I was under the impression that you were playing in a half. That's why I suggested Mostert, okay? As for the follow-up question as to who just asked, what was it? James Hurt, or no, it was John Iron. I would play probably Alec Pierce ahead of Mostert in a full PPR. But yeah, Langley, if I can get an indication as to what your scoring format is, it'd be a far easier situation to be able to answer that. Thank you. Again, just for those of you who are joining us, the rankings to the right of the screen are my updated rankings as of this morning. So somebody in the chat asked, hey, Andrew, would you play Burrow or Prescott? Again, I have Burrow ahead of Prescott. Andrew, would you play Tua or Matt Ryan? I have Tua ahead of Matt Ryan. Dak or Hurts rest of the season? Joseph, that's a different question. But yes, I would rather have Hurts rest of the season. Moving on. Why no Curtis Samuel? Mainly because I don't think that the Washington Commanders are going to run they're not going to pass the ball like 40 times today. I don't think they're going to ask Heineke to do that. I think they're going to be far more run committed today. Thank you. Mike Williams or Godwin full PPR? I prefer Godwin in a full PPR. All right. Mantis MD says, hey, Andrew, love the content. Do I start Nico Collins or Sutton? At that point, I have Sutton ahead of him in my rankings. Jeffrey Ricklin says, Curtis Samuel or Robert Woods? I believe, let me confirm in a full PPR. Full PPR, I believe, where are we? Wide receiver. We have Robert Woods at number 37, and we have Curtis Samuel at number 39. So I would play Robert Woods there this week. Thank you. George Hernandez says, I need an RB2 and a flex. I have Drake. I have Drake as a flex and Jamal Williams starting over Montgomery. Also, Josh Reynolds on the bench with Evans and Godwin playing. Okay, so here's my suggestion. I would play Josh Reynolds in your flex ahead of Kenyon Drake. Absolutely, without a doubt in my mind. Thank you. Walker or Pittman in a full PPR? Paul, let me see if I can answer this real quick. Where the heck is my flex rankings? Okay, flex rankings. I have Walker. Where the heck is Walker? I have Walker here. I have Walker ahead of Pittman in a full PPR. Thank you. All right, so we did George Hernandez question. Mike Chills says, Jamal Williams or Mostert? I'd play Jamal Williams. Ansel Hernandez says Jamal Williams or Sutton? Absolutely Jamal Williams. Absolutely. Jan sends in a question, says Judy or Gallup rest of the season. Quite frankly, I think it's going to be Gallup. Xavier says PPR league, start one. CEH, Jeff Wilson, Edmonds. I'd play Jeff Wilson. Thank you. Matthew Langley. Let me go ahead and check the chat because, again, I was asking you that question so we can get to the bottom of that. You know what, to be honest, you don't even need to clarify. Matthew, if you're playing in a full PPR, I would play Kirk. If you're playing in a half, I play Mostert. Jared says PPR. We got to pick two options here. We have Drake, we have Reynolds, we have Pickens, we got Herbert. I would play both the wide receivers there, Jared. I'd play Josh Reynolds, and I would play George Pickens. Thank you. Matt sends in a question. Matt Turnkali says PPR, pick two. Robert Woods, Alec Pierce, Antonio Gibson, Deonta Foreman. Of the available options in a PPR, I'm playing both the wide receivers. I play Robert Woods and I play Alec Pierce. So yes, Langley confirmed it is a half. I would play Mostert there. Thank you. Duan says PPR, Pacheco or Murray rest of the season. Just give me Pacheco right now. Let's test that out. Owick says standard league. I need one wide receiver and one flex. We have Gallup, Cooks, and Drake. I would play Gallup and I would play Cooks. I'm not playing Drake this week there. Alec Thomas says, would you suggest Jamal Williams over ETN? I would, in fact, do that. Again, guys, on screen, I have Jamal Williams there as my number 15 running back. Travis Etienne, number 17. So if you're wondering where I would go, even in a full PPR scoring format, I would suggest going Jamal Williams because like we have seen with Travis Etienne thus far this season, he only gets about 2 to 3 receptions per game out of the backfield. It's not sizable enough influx of PPR points to adjust it and kind of consider him a better option than Jamal Williams. Again, for those of you who are joining us this morning on Tight End, National Tight Ends Day, thank you. Welcome. We have up-to-date rankings for Week 7 to the right side of the screen. They do not include players that played on Thursday. They include all the potential adjustments that need to be made. Again, we are not 100% certain of the status of Keenan Allen, but we do have up-to-date rankings as for Christian McCaffrey, Isaiah Pacheco, Chuba Hubbard, and there's definitely no Courtland Sutton. I will repeat that for the 40th time today. Thank you. It's just like T. Higgins from the other week ago. Listen, if he's not on the rankings, because I don't expect him to play very well, guys. That's mainly why. And if he pops off, by all means, I'm willing to take the L. I've taken a bunch of L's this year, and I've taken a bunch of L's in my life in terms of fantasy because, again, there's far too many variables to consider, but it is what it is. At this point, I'm just trying to be safe with you guys and not give you a player that's going to go for 3 points and kill your week. You know what I mean? Moving on, we have DeAndre Warren. Thank you very much. Says PPR flex option. James Robinson, or Keenan Allen with Montgomery as the pivot. I would much rather play Keenan Allen with Montgomery as the pivot option this week. And then you have the ability to also pivot. Oh yeah, you know what? Let's do that. In a PPR DeAndre Warren, I would say you play Keenan Allen this afternoon. If he's not active before the game, you pivot to Jacoby Myers on Monday and you're good to go there, my guy. Andy the Fork says, Baconator rest of the season? Absolutely not. I will not be touching a Baconator probably for the rest of my life. That will legitimately kill me. Ernesto says, start Reynolds or Pacheco in a full PPR. I would play Reynolds there. Rob Castle says, Keenan, Kirk, or Boyd. Also, Gus Edwards or Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson ahead of Gus Edwards. Gus Edwards is going to be on a pitch count, so I'm not suggesting him to anybody today. Keenan Allen ahead of Kirk and Boyd today. Thank you. Jayon says, question about my wide receiver 2 and my flex. In a half PPR, my available wide receivers are Kirk and Alec Pierce. Okay, so I would prefer Kirk there. For my flex option, I have Jamal Williams and Isaiah Pacheco or available other wide receiver. I would play Jamal Williams in the flex. I would play Christian Kirk as the starting wide receiver there, Jayon. Thank you. We've almost caught up. Here we go. Pancakes or get the F out says full PPR, Garrett Wilson or DJ Moore. I currently, if I'm not mistaken, have Garrett Wilson ahead of him. Let me confirm. Full PPR rankings. I have Garrett Wilson. What the heck is Garrett Wilson? Why am I? Oh, okay, because I'm looking at the wrong rankings. Garrett Wilson, I have at 42. I have DJ Moore at 45. So Garrett Wilson it is. Again, without... Probably both of them are terrible plays this week. But if I got to pick one of the two, it's Garrett Wilson. I'm just putting it out there. I don't trust either. But if I had to pick one, there it is. Francisco, mainly because we know that Corey Davis is the favorite receiver of Zach Wilson. And we know Patrick Surtain is going to be covering Corey Davis. So by proxy, we would assume that if he drops back, he looks at his first read, it's Corey Davis. He's like, oh crap, he's not open. Let me look at my second read, across the middle, boom, slot receiver. Let's make a play, hopefully. Otherwise, Zach Wilson is dumping it off to his running backs or getting sacked as he usually does. Moving on. Francisco sends in a question, says Deontay Johnson or Kenyon Drake in a half PPR. I'm not playing Kenyon Drake in any capacity over Deontay Johnson this week, so I would play Deontay even in a standard league. But in a half, yes, for sure Deontay. Moving on, we have Isaiah Gonzalez says, need 2 in a full PPR scoring format. We have Bateman, Ayuk, and Pickens. I would play Bateman and Ayuk this week. Thank you. Brandon Miller says, 2 quarterback league. Allen is on bye. Do I play Brissett or Pickett? That's a good question. As of right now, I have Kenny Pickett as my... I'm not even joking. This is no joke at all. You can even ask someone who's a part of the Patreon. I have Jacoby Brissett as my number 20 quarterback and Kenny Pickett as my number 21 quarterback. Back-to-back in my rankings. So slightly ahead with Jacoby Brissett. Moving on, we have Joshua sends in a question. He says, and I quote, Jamal Williams or Isaiah Pacheco as my RB2. Jamal Williams, absolutely. And should I play either of them over Brandon Ayuk in the flex? As of right now, Joshua, I would most likely lean in the direction of if it's a full PPR, I would probably play Brandon Ayuk there. In a half PPR, let me check here. In a half PPR, where's my half PPR rankings? Nope, I need a, not F3, dang it. It's control F, James. Okay, no, sorry. Isaiah Pacheco. And then we have, where's Ayuk? I would play Ayuk ahead of him in a half PPR. Actually, no. Hold on, wait. That's not the right rankings. That's full PPR. What was your rankings at? You didn't mention. So if it is a half PPR, it would be Isaiah. But if it was a full, you would play Brandon Ayuk. Thank you. Joshua Shull. What the heck am I saying? Joshua Shully says, Jacobs, JT, Kenneth Walker, pick 2. I'm playing JT and I'm playing Jacobs this week. Thank you, Joshua. Appreciate it. D. Ill says non-PPR flex, Hubbard, Everett, Curtis Samuel. Everett, without a doubt. Grady Hoffman says drop Rashad for Pacheco in a standard. Yeah, I'm okay with that. Perfectly. Nick Dillard says Sutton or ETN. Not even close. Absolutely playing ETN. Just Sherman 4 says Pacheco or Ayuk, half PPR. Like I was mentioning just a moment ago, it would be Pacheco in a half PPR. Alex Ruiz says start 1. Murray, Gus, Rachaad White. If I'm playing one between those 3 options, it's absolutely going to be Latavius Murray filling in as that RB2 kind of change of pace back 3 yards in a cloud of dust after we have, of course, Melvin Gordon doing whatever he does in the early downs. Why do you not like Drake this week? Mainly because of Justice Hill and Gus Edwards both being active. If, in fact, it was Drake alone by himself, like he kind of was to a capacity last week, once, in fact, Dobbins went down with the injury, we're probably in a scenario where it's going to be a committee situation. Flip Nasty, if that information is wrong, I'm banning you. Like, just straight up. If I find that information is wrong, you're gone. No joke. I'm not even joking. Now, I'll give you a warning. But don't be spreading stuff unless you got 100% fact on it. Franklin says, which 2 should I start? Mike Evans, Michael Pittman, or T. Higgins? Yeah, honestly, I'm playing Mike Evans and Michael Pittman Jr. T. Higgins is a fantastic option, of course, and he's right next to Pittman in my rankings. But quite frankly, I prefer Pittman at this moment. Coming off of a week in which he had career highs in targets, receptions, and receiving yards, I'm assuming that Matt Ryan's going to continue to go to that well. Justin says DeAndre Carter or Sutton. To be totally honest, if Keenan Allen does not play today, right? If he does not play, I would rather play DeAndre Carter over Sutton. No joke. Where are we at? Can you show the defensive rankings? Yes, Ibrahim, we will do that right now. Again, for those of you who are here, we are very close to reaching 1,000 likes. If we can go ahead, smash that button, be greatly appreciated. Joshua needed to go ahead and get a readjustment to his rankings. Joshua had said full PPR. Yeah, even in a full PPR. Okay, so yes, Joshua, in a full PPR, we're playing Ayuk there, and then you're still playing Jamal Williams. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about defenses and kickers really quickly. Defenses for the week. We had said that we were going to talk about it at 9:30. I think I totally blew past that because I was, distracted. Moving on, let's talk about our top 12 defenses and kickers. Number 1, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Number 2, New York Giants. Number 3, New England Patriots. Number 4, Dallas Cowboys. Number 5, Green Bay Packers. Number 6, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 7, Miami Dolphins. Number 8, Baltimore Ravens. Number 9, Tennessee Titans. Number 10, New York Giants. Number 11, Jacksonville Jaguars. And number 12, we have the Denver Broncos. Now, when we close out today's video, I don't know what I'm doing. We have the kicker rankings as Daniel Carlson, number 1, Justin Tucker, number 2, Evan McPherson, number 3, Harrison Butker, number 4, Brett Maher, number 6. No, what the heck am I doing? Graham Gano, number 5, Brett Maher, number 6, Jason Myers, number 7, Nick Folk, number 8, Ryan Suckup, number 9, number 10, it is Brandon McManus, number 11, it is Younghoe Koo, and number 12 is Greg Zerline. Thank you. If in fact you are in desperate need of a kicker because you have a bye week scenario where you have Tyler Bass, Greg Joseph, Matt Gay, Jake Elliott out, I think Jason Myers is probably the most readily available kicker there that has had 4 consecutive weeks of 10 plus fantasy points. Appreciate that. You said the Giants twice. Did I really? Okay, let's finish off the back end there. So it was Baltimore Ravens 8, Tennessee Titans 9, Giants 10, Jacksonville Jaguars 11, Broncos 12. Again, my brain is melting. Appreciate it. Again, we just surpassed 1,000 likes. I cannot thank you guys enough. You don't understand how big of a difference that actually makes. It literally does nothing but continues to support the channel and spread it out and allow us to continue to make contact. Andrew's on overdrive. I am, really. My brain is beginning to melt. Okay, let me catch up with some of these questions that were sent in. We had Brian send in the question, said full PPR. Wan'Dale Robinson, Pickens, Pacheco, or Pitts. In a full PPR scoring format, I'm more inclined to probably play Pickens there. Thank you. Cody Shannon says, standard league, Higgins, Walker, Waddle. I'm going to play Kenneth Walker there. Thank you. Sure, Sir Shifty. That's a seashore on the seashore kind of tongue twister there. Pick 2 full PPR. Kirk, Alec Pierce, Mostert, or Dobbs. If I'm picking 2 in a full PPR, I'm most likely leaning in the direction of going Christian Kirk. And then most likely, do I want to play Mostert there? Yeah, let's play Mostert. Let's play Christian Kirk and Mostert. Omar G says full PPR. Pick 2, Sutton, Alec Pierce, Isaiah Pacheco. I'm playing Alec Pierce and Isaiah Pacheco. I got 5 players on bye. Yeah, listen, your bye week is pretty brutal there, Omar, but I think you got pretty good options there this week. Jacob Reiser says, full PPR, London, Dobbs, Brian Robinson. Pick 2. If I'm picking 2, it's going to be Brian Robinson and Dobbs this week. Thank you. Josh Campbell says PPR, Aaron Jones or Gallup. I'm going to still play Aaron Jones there. Thank you. William sends in a question, says flex, PPR, Devontae Parker or CEH. You know, I wouldn't be mad at playing Devontae Parker. Quite frankly, I feel more comfortable playing Tyquan Thornton. But for right now, I think it's okay to play Devontae Parker there this week, especially considering the expectation is that Mac Jones does play. So, yeah, I'm okay with Devontae Parker there. Telugu sends in a question, says, Jamal Williams or Christian Kirk in the flex? Jamal Williams is my suggestion. Thank you. Berlin B says, put in order rest of the season, Jacoby Myers, Sutton, Pickens, standard format. Ooh, standard format. I think I'm still okay with Sutton rest of the season and then going Pickens second and then Jacoby Myers third. Thank you, Berlin. Isaiah Gonzalez says AJ Dillon, Pacheco, or Kenyon Drake, pick 2. Pacheco and AJ Dillon are my suggestions. Thank you very much. We continue on. We're almost caught up here. Steven Hernandez says full PPR. Boyd, Bateman, Thornton, Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson. Pick 1 in a full PPR scoring format. It's going to be Bateman. Rico's Right says, how do you feel about Daniel Jones over Marcus Mariota? I don't think Daniel Jones has much upside. The only game he's ever surpassed 20 fantasy points this year was against Chicago when he scored 2 rushing touchdowns in that game. Unless he's going to have a huge rushing game today, I think there's very little upside in terms of his passing game getting above 200 passing yards or even getting 2 passing touchdowns. So at this moment, I'm far more inclined to play Mariota, who over the last 2 weeks, 50 plus rushing yards in both those games, has been a achievable enough quarterback to get the job done. And quite frankly, his matchup this week in Cincinnati, though it isn't better than Daniel Jones against Jacksonville, Daniel Jones just doesn't throw the ball enough for me to justify that play. Sergio says, starting Dak and Zeke, do I start Gallup or Samuel? I'm all in on the Cowboys today. Let's play Gallup there. David Luna, thank you very much, says Sutton or Pollard in a full PPR. I would play Pollard today. Thank you. ET says PPR Superflex. Kenneth Walker or start Tyreek Hill over Trevor Lawrence. Kenneth Walker in the flex or start Tyreek Hill. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually willing to do. I'm willing to do that, honestly. I will play Kenneth Walker in the flex and give me Tyreek Hill in the super flex. That's fine by me. You're good to go there. St. Luke sends in a question. Says Najee Harris or Stevenson. I would play Stevenson there. Amon-Ra is on the bench. Why would Amon-Ra be on the bench? Play him. Again, you see where I have him ranked, right? Like, do you really have Jamar Chase, Tyreek Hill, and Devontae Adams on your team? If you do, then okay. Jonathan Coble says, hey, Andrew, love the channel. Thank you very much. I'm in a deep league. We have Latavius Murray, Foreman, or Noah Brown this week. Brown has a nice matchup against the Detroit Lions. Yeah, I mean, listen, if you're playing in a full PPR, I'm perfectly fine playing Noah Brown there. KJ says Dobbs or Brian Robinson in the flex full PPR. I think we talked about this a little bit earlier. Probably still going to roll with the idea of going Brian Robinson there. Lalo Mendoza says, got offered Hall for my Hurts. Okay, interesting. Do I take it and stream quarterback for the rest of the season? I have Aaron Jones, Walker. Yes, I would take the deal. I would stream quarterback rest of the season. Give me Hall. Mohammed says, do you fully trust in Schultz today? I have Daniel Bellinger and listen, the primary reason why I trust Schultz, like I was explaining a little bit earlier today, is in regards to the fact that if he's going to play and he's active, right, that's already a step forward from what we saw the week before. But the fact that he ended up practicing fully on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. 3 consecutive full practices with no setbacks. That leads me to believe that with Dak Prescott coming back, we know how much he loves to use the tight end down in the red zone. And the matchup against the Detroit Lions, giving up, I think, like the 6th most points to opposing tight ends thus far this season on average in a half PPR. It's a perfect play there. Someone asked in the chat, Etienne or Elliott. Again, guys, on screen, we have up-to-date rankings. So, yes, I'm playing Elliott over Etienne, as I have Elliott as my number 14 running back, and I have Etienne as my number 7. The brain lag is starting to creep in, guys. As my number 17. Goodness gracious, what the heck was that? Okay, almost caught up on all the donations. Ryan, full PPR, Jeff Wilson or Dalton Schultz. Give me Jeff Wilson there. Billington Bosman says start 2, Najee, Brandon Cooks, and Etienne in a full PPR. Give me Brandon Cooks and Etienne. Thank you. David Luna says pick 2 out of 3. Juju, Sutton, Pollard. Give me Juju and Pollard. Thank you. S. Huss says, okay, interesting. Okay, whatever. PPR, risk Keenan Allen or play Reynolds / Pickens. If you don't have a pivoting option for Keenan Allen, then you just play Reynolds. If you don't have a pivoting option, just play Reynolds. Mark Straw, thank you very much. Haven't seen that name in a while. Hope you're doing well. Schultz, Juju, or Judy in the flex. If I'm picking one for the flex in a standard league, it's most likely going to be Juju Smith-Schuster. To follow that up, you also have Herbert, Waddle, Pittman, Chubb, Mixon, Kelsey starting. Yeah, you're fine there. Play Juju. Troy, welcome back, my man. Let's see. Troy, every time you send in a question, there's never a message attached to it. I always got to go looking. Should I pick up Reynolds and drop Bateman, Cooks, Judy, or more? Should I drop or keep these players? At this moment, I think unless you need to start these guys, unless you're going to start Josh Reynolds, I wouldn't drop any of those guys. So only under the position of actually starting Reynolds would I ever drop more off your team. You know what I mean? Moving on. After Troy, we had Kelvin says Gus is warming up with the starters. Gus or Dylan. I mean, listen, at this point, even though he's warming up with the starters, I have no full indication that he's actually going to get more than like 7 or 8 rushing attempts. And quite frankly, yes, some of those rushing attempts could be on the 1-yard line for a touchdown, but we're not, privy to that information. We don't know. Hindsight 2020, right? But for right now, I have a hard time trusting any Baltimore Ravens running back until I see what kind of amalgamation of a rotation we're going to see out of today. So as of right now, I would just rather play Dylan and just go after that potential value. Ashley sends in the final question here, says PPR, Peoples-Jones, Wando Robinson, Duvernay, or Hurst. Of the available options, I do prefer Donovan Peoples-Jones in a full PPR. Thank you. Okay. We've caught up. Let's get to answering some chat questions. Mixon or Stevenson? Again, it's on the screen. It's Mixon ahead of Stevenson, Enrique. Would you do Hunt or Pacheco in a full PPR? I would still play Pacheco there. Where is Kenyon Drake on my bench or on the waivers? Standard scoring, Etienne or Brian Robinson? I'd probably still play Etienne there. Dameon Pierce, Pittman, Higgins in the flex. I'm playing Dameon Pierce there. Metcalf, Cooper, Keenan Allen in the flex. If you have if you have Metcalf and Cooper, they're playing over Keenan Allen. So I'd play Metcalf there this weekend. Again, J.C. Jackson got benched last week. That Charger secondary is in shambles. So yeah, absolutely play Metcalf there. Drake or Clyde, play Clyde. Josh Reynolds or Rashad Bateman. At this point in a full PPR, I'm fairly certain I feel comfortable with rolling Josh Reynolds there. David Fast says Kareem Hunt or Alec Pierce in a standard league. I'd still probably go Alec Pierce there. ET says one more, Moreau or Hurst. I'd go. As much as I like Foster Moreau when Darren Waller is out, I'd probably still play Hayden Hurst there. Let's see here. We have Wando Robinson or Mostert. I play Mostert. Mixon or Keenan Allen for Kelsey and Gallup. I'd rather have Mixon, Keenan Allen rest of the season. Schultz or Ingram. I have Schultz higher in my rankings on screen. Sutton is not ranked. That is correct. I do not expect him to play well against Sauce Gardner. If anything, he gets double covered all day. Brett Rippon is not a great quarterback. And quite frankly, like I mentioned, I think like 7 times today, but maybe you weren't here to hear it. In man coverage, Sauce Gardner's only allowed 5 yards of 5 yards in man coverage. That's all he's allowed this season in 6 games. In zone coverage, he's allowed 14 catches for 94 yards. So quite frankly, in a 6-game span, like we have Revis Island being rebuilt over there. It's just sauce. It's Sauce Island. We have Lex sending in a question. Says full PPR. I need you to choose from one of these options: Christian Kirk, Christian McCaffrey, or David Njoku in a full PPR. I'd probably play Christian Kirk there. Sutton or Drake? I'd probably play Sutton ahead of Drake. Michael Thomas or Curtis Samuel to pick up a quarterback. I probably feel more comfortable dropping Curtis Samuel, to be honest. Dak or Hurts rest of the season? I answered that earlier, Joseph. It's Hurts. Daniel Jones or Mac Jones? I play Mac Jones. Bateman, okay to put in the lineup. Yeah, I mean, he should be active today, right? I haven't gotten any information. Dude, can these spam bots get the out of here, man? Holy crap. I gotta ban all these accounts. What the heck are these spam bots? Half PPR, ETN or DK Metcalf? Let me go ahead and check that up for you real quick. Half PPR, if we go to my flex rankings, we have, where's DK Metcalf? DK Metcalf is ahead of ETN in a half PPR. Thank you. Tua or Dak? I prefer Dak. Again, it's on screen, guys. No way we're asking these questions. No way. Njoku or Kittle? I prefer Kittle this week. Is Waddle playing? Yes, he should be. I don't have any indication that he's not playing today. Moving on. Jamal Williams or DK Metcalf in a full PPR? I'm playing DK there. How well do you think Jeff Wilson's boom How well do you think Jeff Wilson's boom we can be? Boom week. I think that's what you meant, Slim. Jeff Wilson could be fine. I think he could very easily be 10 fantasy points today. That's my assumption. Swift is out, yes. Stevenson or guys, okay. I'm not going to answer any questions that could be answered on screen. Again, to the right of me, updated half PPR rankings. Okay, so the people who are asking, Najee Harris or Jamal Williams, I have Jamal Williams ahead of him. Ezekiel Elliott or Jamal Williams, I have Ezekiel Elliott ahead of him. You know, stuff like that. So again, look to the right. Somebody just asked Gino or Tua. It's on the screen. I have Gino right next to Tua, but it's on the screen. Where is Sutton on my bench? AJ or Drake, PPR, play AJ Dillon. Unless we're talking about London. If you're talking about Drake London, which probably you're not, but AJ Dillon. Would you drop Michael Thomas or Alec Pierce? If you're in desperate need of a wide receiver, I suppose you could. Play McCaffrey this week, assuming you don't have better options, sure. Check on screen. I have McCaffrey at, I think, what, number 23? Jake says Prize Picks videos next week. I had one this last week. I mean, I posted it on Friday. And I also did a lot of Prize Picks kind of suggestions yesterday throughout yesterday's live stream. So if you go check out yesterday's live stream and fast forward through that, I have like a 10-minute span in which I just put in entries, and I got some spicy ones. Again, some of my favorite for today, David Njoku going more on receiving yards, Tony Pollard going more on rushing yards, and Myers for the Seattle Seahawks going more on field goals made. So their relative numbers are really low. Like David Njoku's at 40.5. Tony Pollard's at like 37.5, and Myers at 1.5. Those all could very easily go over. You make like a $10 entry there. That's like a $50 payout right there. So again, if you guys are looking to potentially play via Prize Picks, check them out today. Use promo code Andrew when you sign up and make a first-time deposit, because once you make that first-time deposit using promo code Andrew, you'll be given a first-time deposit match up to $100. Thank you. Why is Pacheco so high? Because he's the starter today. And that is why he is effectively today's thumbnail. Yay. All right. Let's see here. A couple more questions. Dalton Schultz, okay. Yes, he practiced all week healthy. Hunter Renfrow or Braxton Berrios? You know, as much as I like Braxton Berrios, legitimately, he won me a championship last year in week 17 after that monster performance. I think I'm still going Hunter Renfrow today. Interesting, very interesting emojis there, Lamar. That's awesome. Start Kenneth Walker or Aaron Jones. Again, it's on screen. I'd go Kenneth Walker. Pollard or Brian Robinson, full PPR. I'd still probably go with Pollard there. Andrew, should take the risk and start Waddle or start Pittman. Why is it a risk to start Waddle? I mean, Waddle's healthy, guys. So if you think it's a risk, by all means, it's a risk for you, but for me, it's not. I'm 100% certain he's going to play. Some of you must be like, you must have me muted because I've literally answered these questions like 6 times over, specifically to, it doesn't matter. Okay, anyway. Where are we? Gus Edwards or Curtis Samuel? I'd play Curtis Samuel today, to be honest, Tom. Romeo Doubs or Jeff Wilson? I would play Jeff Wilson there. Gus Edwards or Drake, because Swift is out, and or CEH. I'd rather just play CEH there instead of risking it and trying to figure out what Baltimore wants to do with their running backs. What do we have here? Zeke or Cooks in a full PPR? I'd still play Zeke. Worth having Curtis Samuel or Dobbs? I'd rather play Dobbs this week. Andrew, thank you very much, Jake. Or Jack. Jack, I appreciate that. I greatly do. Sergio sent in a question, said Garrett Wilson or Kenyon Drake? Give me Garrett Wilson, legitimately. Troy Arce sends in a question, says Kamara for another running back rest of the season. Also, mod? No, you don't get mod. Okay, you know what? I won't. Okay, so right now we'll get to that Kamara question a bit. Vic84 says full PPR, Reynolds, Montgomery, or Bateman or ETN. One wide receiver, one flex. Play ETN and play Reynolds there, Vic. Trey Curb 47 says Gino or Herbert. It's on screen. I'd play Herbert. Berlin B says Ramondre or Jamal Williams. Standard. I'd play Ramondre there. And then we already took care of St. Luke's question, I believe. St. Luke said MT. Yeah, we took care of that. All right, awesome. Diego says, should I drop Donta Foreman for Gus Edwards? Yes, I would. Brandon Cooks or C today. I'd honestly rather play Brandon Cooks, legitimately, because I know he's going to play more. Whether he scores more fantasy points, that's a different conversation. Sorry, I probably had you muted. Been between work, yeah, no problem. You're fine. I knew somebody had me muted. Foreman or Drake? I'd rather play Foreman probably today. I probably have him and Chuba back to back. Lockett or Williams, full PPR? Give me Williams. Jamal Williams or Brandon Cooks? Jamal Williams. Judy or Bateman? Christian McCaffrey or Kenneth Walker, full PPR? Kenneth Walker, easily. Christian, what is that? Brandon Cooks or Stevenson? Stevenson. Start Wandale Robinson. Duvernay. Yeah, Michael. Recore. Play Wandale Robinson today. Lockett or Jamal Williams? Again, that's Jamal Williams. Aaron Jones or Gallup? Give me Aaron Jones. It's time for the games to begin. Yes, it is correct, Juan. It is correct. Good luck, everybody. Yes. Thank you, Jason. All right, guys. That's going to cover it. As for your question, Troy, trade Kamara for another running back? Sure. I'm down. The touchdowns just aren't there for him. A.J. Brown and Montgomery for Hall and Lockett? I'm fine with that. Absolutely. Why Judy over Wandale Robinson? Mainly because Brett Rippon has a relationship that they've already played together, him and Judy back in 2020. I think they're going to expand upon that today. And the fact that there's nobody else going to be open on that offense, they're going to have to throw the ball somewhere, and they're going to be down for majority of that game. I'm expecting Judy to at least have a decent game today. Anonymous, thank you. Appreciate that. Cooks or Dobbs? I'd play Cooks. ETN or Christian McCaffrey? I'd play ETN. Doing McCaffrey wrong? Listen, you manage your own team. You play your team the way you want. I am not the end-all be-all. You play the guys you want. Don't tell me that I am ranking them incorrectly when, quite frankly, I don't see your rankings on screen, my guy. Sutton or Claypool? I play Claypool, to be honest. Wandale Robinson or Alec Pierce? Give me Alec Pierce. Curtis Samuel or Josh Reynolds? Josh Reynolds. Juan Rivera says, no IR in my league. Worth holding on to Hollywood? You should still, yes. He comes back in 3 or 4 weeks here. Trade Dalvin Cook and Lazard for Swift and Devonta Smith. At this point, I could go either way on that. With Swift still not being healthy, it is very concerning to an extent. But if Swift is healthy, yes, I would love to have that trade. What's up, Braylon? How you doing? Gibson or one of the Panthers guys? Give me Gibson. What's your favorite team? At this moment, either LA team. Chargers, Rams, doesn't matter. Half point PPR. Pick between Travis Etienne, Amari Cooper, Dobbs, Brian Robinson, Jamal Williams. Yeah, if I'm playing one of those options, it's Jamal Williams. Just like it represents on screen. He's the highest ranked running back, and I prefer running backs in a half PPR typically. Alex says, why are people even here if they're going to talk trash? I don't know. It's okay. I've been hearing trash talk for like the last 5 years. It doesn't make a difference to me. Like I'm immune to it to an extent. I've seen my fair share of vitriol go in my direction for no reason. People were playing a game and they're just losing their minds. Thank you. I appreciate that, Charlene. Would you trade Swift for Mahomes straight up? Probably not. Unless you're playing in a super flex league, I think that's the only time I'd ever consider that. I got the Giants on the money line. Wish me luck, bro. Honestly, I think you're in a pretty good spot there. I'm expecting the Giants to win. The fact that the Giants are even an underdog, I think they're like +1. That's absurd to me. I think they're absolutely favorites today. Good morning, bro. Been torn between Breece Hall and Stevenson. I'm playing Breece Hall today. Trade alert, half PPR. I think we're past the time, but again, if you have a starter sit question, they're probably already done unless they play in the afternoon slate. Half PPR, T. Higgins, Christian Kirk. My only other respectable wide receivers, Keenan Allen in a 14 team. Get T. Higgins for Christian Kirk. Yes, I would love to have T. Higgins for Christian Kirk. Alrighty. We're in a good spot. Thank you very much, guys. The haters give him more views. You're not wrong, Vanessa. You're not wrong. You know what's funny? For all my years that I've been on YouTube, you know how important the dislike button is? Even though YouTube made an executive decision over the last 6 months to remove the dislike button from showing how many dislikes there are on a video, dislikes actually help the channel just as much as likes. Can you imagine that? Just because they know if someone is willing to take time out of their day to come to your channel and click the dislike button, that means that they took time out of your day and they'll continue to do that. So they continue to suggest the videos to those people. Can you imagine that? I mean, devious YouTube out here. Ryan sends in a donation, the final one of the day. Says, how do you feel about Jameson Williams? Is he worth a stash? I absolutely believe he is definitely worth a stash. Again, with DJ Chark going to the injured reserve, the chance of this rookie wide receiver coming back and making noise is pretty high in my opinion. Again, he's very talented. Sure, he's coming off the ACL, but I expect him to be great. Expat, I appreciate that. Thank you. E-Rock, thank you. Mr. Blob says, Breece Hall or Dameon Pierce? I prefer Breece Hall today. Christian McCaffrey dropping either 30 or 10. I think he's either dropping 10 or 3. I don't know about 30 today, man. But hey, if he drops 30, it is what it is. All right, guys. Mike Evans just dropped a wide open touchdown. Ryan, don't tell me these things, man. It's going to hurt my heart. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all. Tomorrow, we'll talk about waiver wires. Tomorrow night, we'll have a live stream after the Monday Night Football game to talk about waiver wires. But outside of that, I appreciate you guys joining us today. I appreciate all the love and the support. Tomorrow, again, we're back at it for week 8. A lot of bye weeks to kind of deal with. But either way, I do appreciate y'all getting us to 70K subscribers. An incredible goal, man. I really didn't think we'd ever get there. But you guys have a bit. Ooh, Tyler Boyd with a 60-yard tutty, huh? All right. I'll see you guys. Let's cue the music and let's get out of here, shall we? Good luck on your matchups. And let's hope you weren't playing against Tyler Boyd this week, huh? 60-yard tutty, huh? They're really lighting up. Joe Burrow is really starting to get to it, huh? Finally. He had a really slow start, but we'll get there. All right, guys. See ya. Good luck. Later.